Okay, so imagine you're scrolling through YouTube in 2020 and you see this video.
I don't want to mess anything up with what's going on.
A family vlogger couple sitting on their bed, tears streaming down their faces, about to make an announcement. And the announcement? They're giving away the child they adopted from China. The same child they'd spent 2.5 years using for content. The same child who became the star of their channel and helped them earn hundreds of thousands of dollars. His name was Huxley. He was a toddler with special needs from an orphanage in China, and Micah and James Stauffer built their entire brand around adopting him and displaying genuine affection towards him even before she brought him home.
I don't even know how I'm going to function if someone tells me that I can't bring up Huxley. Like, this isn't just a kid in China.
Now here's where it gets really dark. The internet absolutely lost it when the couple gave Huxley up. We're talking petitions, investigations, and eventual cancellation. Some other channels were deleted after the scandal, and Micah disappeared from the internet completely. But James, he's still here on YouTube and still making money. This story has everything. Shady fundraisers, medical warnings that were completely ignored, allegations of some seriously questionable parenting, and an entire industry that let all of this happen with zero consequences. But what most people don't know is how deep this actually goes, how calculated it was from the start, and what really happened behind the scenes. And trust me, everything you thought you knew about this case was just the surface information. As of 2016, Micah and her husband James had been running family YouTube channels for 2 years with modest success. The couple announced they were adopting a child from China through an agency called WACAP, which later merged with Holt International.
Jim and I have decided that
we're gonna
adopt from China.
But this wasn't just about giving a child a home. From the very beginning, the adoption was framed as content, as a journey the viewers would be invited to experience alongside the family. The way Micah presented the adoption revealed something troubling. She didn't just announce it after the fact, she announced it before they had even formally started the process, turning what should have been a private, sacred decision into a public spectacle. Susan Soon Kim Cox, Vice President of Policy and External Affairs at Holt International, later stated that the agency specifically asked them not to publicize the adoption before it was finalized.
They asked the Vice President of Policy and External Affairs for Holt International, who is the agency that they used, about whether or not it is advisable to share information about adoption. And they said, we do not advise it. In fact, we asked them specifically not to do it.
Why? Publicizing an adoption can jeopardize the process itself and play into harmful stereotypes of white families swooping in to save foreign children. And let's not forget that it deprives these children of much needed privacy. But Micah didn't listen because growing her YouTube channel was more important than protecting the child. The adoption felt less like an act of service and more like a content strategy. Every milestone in the adoption process became a talking point for the channel. The announcement video, the fundraising campaigns, the wait times, and the approval letters all appeared on her channel. Each update drove engagement, comments, shares. Viewers became emotionally invested in the journey, checking back regularly for news about when they'd bring home this mystery child from China, and Micah knew exactly what she was doing. In deleted vlogs, she once referred to James as an SEO god, praising his ability to optimize their content for maximum visibility. They weren't just documenting their life, they were hacking the algorithm, and the adoption was the ultimate hack. Even James's detailing page, Stauffer Garage, benefited from the extra attention the family was receiving. He also admitted this in one interview.
But when we went to China to adopt our son, Huxley, we had a lot of people from China, from other countries, and even our followers here in North America kind of following along with us, and they were getting really revved up, and everybody started getting super excited about it, and we're like, this is really cool. So at that point, we started revving up our content, especially when we went to China, we took all of our kids.
The comments under this video after the scandal were what you would expect. People were upset and couldn't understand how two people who have biological children would trade a child's life for content. One YouTuber said, "It continues to absolutely shock me. It feels so insane to think that anyone could be so cold and calculating. But the more that is revealed, the worse it gets." Their own recent statements telegraphed these sentiments. But then this kind of thing objectively reveals their exploitative mindset. Sick. From where your treasure is, there will your heart be. They followed the fame, and now they are more famous than they've ever been. What a worthy punishment for everyone to know them as the people they truly were. James didn't seem too enthusiastic about the adoption from the start and only bought into the idea when he realized how much publicity it could generate. In an article on Parade, Micah admitted that her husband didn't buy the idea initially. My husband was resistant at first, but after letting him reflect on the idea for several months, we both agreed to start researching and see what surfaced. At first, we looked into every adoption route and kept being redirected to international adoption when we put into the age and time frame we were ultimately seeking. We had our hearts set on Africa, but right as we started researching agencies, the Ethiopian adoption program was struggling with ethical issues and was temporarily shut down. So we set out again, determined to find the perfect country to fit for our family, and we kept being led to China. But it gets worse. The couple didn't just announce the adoption and wait quietly. They turned it into a full-blown marketing campaign, complete with fundraisers and what critics would later call a disturbing game of window shopping for a child.
The first thing I want to fill you in on is we are doing a little fundraiser for little Huxley.
By the time they brought home the little boy they would name Huxley in late 2017, Micah and James had already committed to something far bigger than either of them seemed prepared to handle. They'd committed to turning his life, his struggles, his trauma into entertainment. But it would also mark the beginning of the end of their internet fame. Now, international adoptions are expensive, no doubt. They cost families between $25,000 and $60,000 when you factor in agency fees, travel costs, legal expenses, and medical evaluations. So it's not unusual for families planning adoption to quietly run fundraisers through their communities, hold bake sales, and save for years. But the Stauffers turned it into a business. They asked their viewers to donate $5 per puzzle piece, and with each donation, they'd place another piece of a 1,000-piece puzzle. And what was the prize for completing it?
We have a 1,000-piece puzzle. Each puzzle piece is worth $5. Every time someone donates, we start putting the puzzle pieces together. It's done. We are going to be revealing Huxley's picture to you guys and to the world, and we're so excited to share our little boy with you guys.
Revealing Huxley's face to the world. Think about that for a moment. They were essentially selling access to this child's image. They also set up a GoFundMe campaign asking their audience to support the adoption financially. The thing is, they weren't just asking for help. They planned to build a parasocial relationship with their audience, making viewers feel as if they were part of the adoption journey and had a stake in bringing Huxley home. And it worked brilliantly from a business perspective. The puzzle fundraiser generated massive engagement, and every single video documenting the process racked up hundreds of thousands of views, which meant ad revenue was pouring in like never before. Once Huxley was home, he became the star of the channel. The Gotcha Day video, documenting the moment they first met him in China, eventually racked up over 5.5 million views. But it didn't stop there. Every milestone, every struggle, every therapy session, every meltdown was documented and monetized. Micah integrated Huxley into sponsored content almost immediately. There were Instagram posts featuring Huxley with product placements. There were YouTube videos where she discussed his challenges while promoting everything from children's clothing brands to cleaning products. In one particularly tone-deaf post, she said that she wouldn't trade him for anything. It was sponsored by Dreft laundry detergent. Huxley was removed from everything familiar, brought to a new country where he didn't speak the language, and placed with a family with no cultural connection to his heritage. And instead of giving him privacy and space to adjust, they put cameras in his face and broadcast his most vulnerable moments to millions of strangers. Let that sink.
You want to come in so bad? Is it hard to be a little brother? Huxley, is it hard to be little sometimes? You can have your book back. Have your book back. Sorry.
According to reports, Huxley appeared in at least 27 videos on Micah's channel alone, not counting appearances on the Stauffer Life or on Instagram stories and posts. Huxley was a moneymaker, and the Stauffers knew it. Everyone knew it. But by the time creators started talking about it, the damage had already been done.
They crowdfunded and asked for their viewers or fans or whatever to help fund the adoption costs. They were advised not to adopt out of birth order.
They began tailoring content specifically around him. Videos with titles like "Our Son's Autism Diagnosis," Huxley's Speech Therapy Update, or Challenging Day with Huxley, consistently outperformed their other uploads. With over 700,000 subscribers and millions of views monthly, they would have been making anywhere from $5,000 to $15,000 in ad revenue alone. Let's not talk about sponsorship deals and gifts from interested fans. The thing is, Huxley had real health challenges that the Stoffers clearly weren't prepared to handle. The longer he stayed with them, the more overwhelming it became. And since their motives for the adoption were clearly wrong, their parenting style was off. Viewers started noticing, and that's when the allegations of abuse popped up. Over the years that Huxley appeared on the Stoffer channels, some of the parents' practices ranged from questionable to potentially harmful. One of the worst videos showed Huxley during a timeout related to food anxiety. While I couldn't find the original video because it had been deleted, I did find multiple reaction videos from other creators who watched it and analyzed it. Katie from Without a Crystal Ball had this to say about the situation.
When I saw this initially, I was like, I don't understand this. Why would you put a child in timeout for wanting food? Huxley's a small little boy. He doesn't have a weight problem. He doesn't look like he's like obese by any means. He looks very thin. So I would assume that why wouldn't you give the child more food if he wants food? If he's hungry, let him have food, right?
I did some research and found out that food issues are common among children with autism. Sensory sensitivities can make certain textures, temperatures, or smells overwhelming or even painful. Mealtimes can be genuinely traumatic experiences for autistic children, triggering anxiety, meltdowns, or avoidance behaviors. Also, as Katie pointed out, Huxley's food anxiety may have been because he spent his first few years alive in an orphanage without any food security.
So it's a survival strategy. So imagine you have not been had enough food. You have been in an orphanage where you've often been put in a crib for hours at a time. There's not enough staff to manage all the kids that are there. They're not getting enough affection and attention. And then they're also don't know when their next meal is going to come. These very early memories will be implanted in their brain and make it very difficult for them to trust other adults who they are relatively new to them on whether or not they're going to be fed.
Huxley displayed many of these struggles. Instead of consulting with occupational therapists about sensory integration or working with behavioral specialists on positive reinforcement strategies, Micah filmed Huxley in distress and used it as content. She discussed his food refusal while the camera captured his anxiety. She positioned herself as the patient mother dealing with a difficult child, rather than acknowledging that his behavior was a symptom of his disability. But viewers could smell something fishy. You describe him singing Mama Food only to be given a timeout has brought tears to my eyes. This woman is vile. Same here. This woman has no right to be called Mama by anyone, right? Like, why not just give him some healthy crackers or some carrot sticks or something? That woman is something else. If she was this public with her annoyances with Huxley, just imagine how awful she must have treated him off camera. I've thought about this too and it makes me sick. He so clearly treated him differently than her natural children in a lot of different vlogs, like making him go to bed earlier, duct taping his thumb so he wouldn't suck it, not letting him eat, etc. I can only imagine how much worse it was not on camera. These people don't deserve to have any children if you ask me. But that wasn't the only concerning moment. Another video showed Mika's approach to Huxley's thumb sucking, a common self-soothing behavior in children with autism. Micah posted a video of Huxley and quickly deleted it. She re-uploaded the video, but it was 22 seconds shorter because she deleted the part that showed Huxley's hand bound in duct tape. The thing is, thumb sucking in children with autism helps with regulating emotions. A simple Google search will show you that it helps them manage sensory overload, anxiety, and stress. Abruptly removing a child's primary coping mechanism without providing alternatives or addressing the underlying need can lead to increased distress and the development of more harmful self-soothing behaviors. The worst part is that Micah didn't seem to have a problem with the thumb sucking on video and had posted photos with Huxley sucking his thumb multiple times. So why bind his hand in private? There were other moments that raised red flags. Videos where Huxley appeared to be overwhelmed or distressed, but filming continued. Posts where Micah discussed his behaviors in ways that framed him as a problem to be solved rather than a child to be understood. We also saw Instagram stories that reduced his complex needs to sound content-friendly. Micah always maintained the persona of a devoted mother. She spoke in soft tones. She used words journey, growth, and love. In one video where she discussed how Huxley faced more challenges than she and her husband anticipated, she said he was not returnable.
Child is not returnable. He's our son, and that's that. He's not we aren't going to trade him in. We're not going to return him.
Now this is where it all started crumbling, because Micah and her husband James would indeed return Huxley months after she made that noble declaration. They were smart about the process. They didn't remove Huxley from their videos abruptly or tell their audience their plan. They gradually reduced the frequency of posting, especially videos with Huxley. At some point, viewers noticed that videos of Huxley had been deleted from YouTube, Instagram, and other social media platforms. It was like they deleted him from their lives. People started asking questions. One video on Stauffer Garage, James's car detailing channel, had comments full of people asking about Huxley, and his response was insensitive to say the least. "What happened to Huxley?" James replied. "With a new family." Another person asked again, "What happened to Huxley?" James repeated himself saying, "with a new family." At this point, it was clear that he wasn't joking, and the comments became more aggressive. "Delete your account. That's disgusting, as well as you as a parent." James replied, "Thanks." And the commenter said, "Welcome, effer." He repeated the thanks. Thanks. It didn't stop there. People were obviously upset about the situation and the fact that he was talking so lightly, so more comments followed. "Can't believe you would adopt a baby for attention it and then give it away like you did with numerous animals. So incredibly sad, traumatizing, and heartbreaking. You both should be ashamed of yourselves." Finally, James replied with more than one sentence, but he wasn't really saying anything concrete and was still incredibly insensitive. "And you have no idea what really happened, nor will you ever. Keep watching my stuff. It helps me make money. And I'm also proud of my decisions for each of my children. Best interest for all involved. Have a great night and please keep commenting." Another commenter replied, "Yeah, help you make money, like the kid you used and gave away for monetary gains. You're disgusting." It was sad to watch, and that wasn't the only post with comments about Huxley. I mean, the family spent years making Huxley the center of their content and suddenly cut him off. The people deserved an explanation. With mounting pressure, the Stauffers finally dropped a bombshell video explaining their decision to rehome Huxley.
This is by far the hardest video James and I have ever publicly had to make. But before I get into the video, I did just want to say thank you to how amazing our viewers have been. We have some viewers who have been just like so incredibly kind and respectful of our son's privacy.
The video has since been deleted, but not before it was downloaded, re-uploaded, and dissected by thousands of viewers. And what it revealed was damning. The video began with Micah thanking viewers who had respected Huxley's privacy during this difficult time. What an irony, considering the fact that she spent all the years Huxley was with her posting every aspect of his life on social media. Then James took over.
I can't say enough how hard Micah has tried throughout this entire journey, and the amount of effort she's put into this and helping Huxley as much as she can. So, I mean, you guys have been part of this adoption journey even before, we picked up Huxley throughout the whole process. And, with international adoption.
Wait, did James just say unknown? Obviously, the couple was trying to claim that they didn't know the full extent of Huxley's challenges before bringing him home. The thing is, it was a lie. In a much older video, Micah admitted that their doctors discouraged the adoption due to the extent of Huxley's needs, and she simply ignored the advice.
Sent off our imaging to our physician. She kind of discouraged us from adopting him. Heard all of the things that doctor was telling us. It kind of went in one ear and out the other.
So she deliberately neglected medical advice and adopted Huxley, only to return him citing medical advice. They used words like rehomed and returned to make their decision sound more humane.
After multiple assessments, after multiple evaluations, numerous medical professionals have felt that he needed a different fit in his medical needs. He needed more.
We haven't made this video yet. It's because we've been trying to protect his privacy, his rights, and also just try to not mess up his future that was laid out in front of us. We're trying our best to.
The cognitive dissonance was staggering. For years, Micah had built her brand on being the mother who would never give up, who would fight for her son, who would do whatever it took. She had posted inspirational quotes about adoption being love. and then she gave him away after making him bound with her and the rest of her family for more than 2 years. Everyone saw through the performance, and the backlash started. It didn't take long for the couple to delete the video from their page, but the comments on the re-uploaded video showed that people weren't buying it. These people are horrible. Would they get rid of a biological child who had special needs? Adoption is forever. They let everyone know about Hux when they adopted him. They never had respect for his privacy. It was all about the almighty dollar. So true. She knew she was adopting a special needs child. You deal with it and keep the child. But seeing what I've been watching in videos, these people don't need any children. It's not about me at all, but the last few months have been so hard on me. The fake crying. They have such a cheek to even utter the words, "our son." Did she thank Huxley for making you a millionaire before she trashed him? Within a few days, everyone was talking about it. YouTube was filled with commentary about the case. The sheriff's office in their county opened an investigation, though ultimately no charges were filed. The thing is, rehoming, while ethically questionable, isn't illegal in many states. And without tangible evidence of abuse or neglect, prosecutors had no grounds for criminal charges, but the court of public opinion had rendered its verdict. Micah and James Stauffer had exploited a vulnerable child for views and money, then discarded him when he became too much to manage. The pressure was building up, and there was no recovery from this. Micah deleted all her YouTube channels and disappeared from the internet. Her last post on Instagram was on the 24th of June, 2020. It was a long apology and an excuse for what she had done to Huxley. In her words, "I want to first apologize for the uproar, and take full responsibility for all of the hurt that I've caused. This decision has caused so many people heartbreak, and I'm sorry for letting down so many women that looked up to me as a mother. I'm sorry for the confusion and pain I have caused, and I'm sorry for not being able to tell more of my story from the beginning. I could have never anticipated the incidents which occurred on a private level to have ever happened, and I was trying my best to navigate the hardest thing I've ever been through. I apologize for being so naive when I started the adoption process. I was not selective or fully equipped or prepared. I received 1 day of watching at-home online video training and gained my Hague adoption certification, which was required by my accredited adoption agency. For me, I needed more training. I can't say I wish this never happened because I'm still so glad Huxley is here and getting all of the help he needs. I also know that even though he is happier in his new home and doing better, that he still experienced trauma, and I'm sorry. No adoptee deserves any more trauma. I wanted to help so bad I was willing to bring home any child that needed me. For this, I was naive, foolish, and arrogant. I wish so bad I would have been more prepared and done more. I wish the decision to disrupt never had to be made. Adoption and all special needs are amazing, and I have a ton of respect for every adoptee, adoption parent, and special needs parent. Look up to you in a million ways. And I'm sorry for hurting the community in any way. Lastly, to debunk a couple complete rumors, we did not adopt a child to gain wealth. While we did receive a small portion of money from videos featuring Huxley and his journey, every penny and much more went back into his care. Getting Huxley the care and services he needed was very expensive, and we made sure he got every service and resource we could possibly find. Secondly, we are not under any type of investigation. I'm hoping to share more from my side of the story soon. And lastly, I'm so sorry for letting you down. I also want to mention that moms need a safe place to ask for help when they are struggling. No questions asked. We love Huxley and know that this was the right decision for him in future, praying that Huxley only has the best future in the entire world. The rehoming itself raised additional questions. Where was Huxley now? Who were the new parents? How could the Stauffers ensure this was actually a better placement and they weren't just looking for a way to offload responsibility? There was a lot of debate about this case 5 years ago, with most people calling Micah and James out for being exploitative. While I agree with this assessment, I feel regulators and the adoption agency should also share some responsibility for what happened to Huxley. I went down a rabbit hole going through their content from our earliest vlogging days, and it was shady from the beginning. I feel like they should have never been allowed to adopt Huxley in the first place. Before the adoption, before Huxley, before the scandal that would define them, Micah and James Stauffer were just another family vlog channel trying to make it on YouTube. A closer look would have shown the destructive patterns. At first glance, their content seemed relatively harmless compared to the extremes of channels like 8 Passengers, another family vlog that was full of The Stauffers didn't publicly humiliate their children or implement extreme punishment systems, but some of their posts were unethical. From the beginning, Micah's biological children Kova, Jake, and Radley were commodified for content. Their daily lives were broadcast to hundreds of thousands of strangers. Their milestones were monetized. Everything was on camera.
It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Remember, they don't fit you anyways. I'm just kidding. We'll get them in a second. No. Guess what? Radley's not out to get you. That's the problem.
Kova, Micah's oldest child from a previous relationship, appeared on camera from when she was a baby. She had no say in whether her image would be shared publicly. She couldn't consent to becoming a public figure. Yet her childhood was documented extensively, from potty training to the first days of school to birthday parties. The homeschooling content was particularly problematic from a child privacy perspective. Micah filmed entire days showing her children's struggles with lessons, their frustration with difficult concepts, their mistakes and corrections.
What does that mean? What does that mean to control your thoughts and to control the direction of your life? What does that mean to control your thoughts? What does that mean? You don't know. So if Susie says, or if Rombo says, let's go steal a pack of bubblegum. Should we do what Rombo said? Or maybe should we say, I really don't want to do that?
Or say, Susie might have wanted to go steal.
These were moments that would normally happen in private, when children could learn and fail without an audience. But for the Stauffer children, education was performance. The pregnancy announcements and birth vlogs followed this same pattern. Micah documented every pregnancy milestone, from positive tests to gender reveals to labor and delivery. Some of this content included her biological children in ways that would later appear awkward or embarrassing. And if you look even deeper, you'd see that Micah has always wanted to be in the public eye. Even before she got married to James Stauffer, she posted details of her daily life as a single mother online.
All right, before and after bikini shots of 21-day juice fast with me. Lose 21 pounds in 21 days. Here's the bikini body. You ready? You ready for this? All right. This is the before, everybody. All right, I don't know how far much back I know, but this is before. I get so excited about this. I don't know if I can do it. Do it with me. Come on, try it.
That need for internet validation and greed led her to the adoption from hell, a decision that would ruin her career and disrupt the life of little Huxley. 4 years after Huxley was rehomed, an HBO documentary about family vlogging titled An Update on Our Family hit the web. The 3-part HBO documentary series, directed by Rachel Mason, addressed the ethical concerns surrounding family vlogging. The Stauffer family's case was at the center of the documentary.
I'm curious if you know the name Micah Stauffer. We'll stay away from that one.
Can you tell me about the Stauffers?
You want me to be honest?
The series led to fresh conversations about the ethics of family vlogging, the challenges of international adoption, and the exploitation of children for content.
Huxley in particular brought so much viewership to their channel. And then 2.5 years later, he had just disappeared.
The documentary only reminded people of the horrors of family vlogging. It didn't get the positive response HBO was hoping for. Some viewers said the first episode is excruciating. These family vloggers are the fakest, most obnoxious humans I've encountered. I just wanted to see a doc about the Stauffer controversy. Dear Adoption Inc. Unfortunately, the child you sold us is more defective than you led us to believe. We'd like to return it for a less work-intensive model. Adoption is an adverse childhood experience without the cameras. These people are just narcissistic. Family vlogs are fine. It's not like anything has happened. Micah Stauffer, Ruby Frankie, that guy who had literally got his children to all bully each other. I'm sure the list goes on. At the time this video was posted, Micah had not returned to social media. She's been spotted occasionally in Ohio, living a private life far from the cameras that once captured her every move. Her husband still runs Stauffer Garage and has been posting consistently over the last few months. This is Kira Sivertson, and she's one of the most controversial figures to ever come out of family YouTube. And no, she did not get there by accident. For those who don't know, Kira is a mother of 4 turned 5, a former teen parent turned influencer, later defined by betrayal, and a woman whose entire adult life is quite literally unfolded in front of the camera. Her story is messy, uncomfortable, and at times genuinely hard to watch. First off, she built a multi-million view family channel on the image of young love and sacrifice, only to later sit beside the father of her 4 children smiling as she calmly announced that she was the one ending their relationship. The same woman who admitted on camera to getting close to another man while still insisting nothing inappropriate happened. The same woman who started a graphic podcast with her best friend, hired that friend's fiance to work behind the scenes, and then later married him herself. Yes, that fiance, the nanny's fiance, the best friend's partner. It's also confusing. The worst part is that she would go on to deny wrongdoing, then quietly change timelines. She would say she needed to be alone, then never actually be alone. Say another pregnancy could be dangerous, which led to her husband getting a vasectomy, then celebrate a new one anyway with a different man. She would say she values privacy, then continue to overshare every detail of everyone else's life except when it implicates her. But the most disturbing part is not the alleged betrayal or the relationship fallout, it's the pattern in which other people are left holding the damage. A former friend who disappeared for years before returning with a public accusation and a fundraiser to cover up tattoos tied to that friendship. A former partner who spirals quietly before rebuilding his life off camera, and children who grew up as content before they were old enough to understand what that meant. This is a story about what happens when your entire identity is built online, and the truth starts slipping through the edits. Kira Sivertson and Oscar Morales met as high school sweethearts, teenagers navigating first love before adulthood ever really began. The relationship formed long before careers, stability, or independence. And by 2015, they were already facing life-altering decisions together. That same year, Kira became pregnant as a teenager. And instead of stepping away from the spotlight, the couple made a choice that would define the rest of their lives. They decided to document their experience publicly, turning a deeply personal situation into content. Out of that decision came the launch of the OK Baby YouTube channel in 2015, a platform built around teen pregnancy and young parenthood. The name itself was a combination of their initials, O as in Oscar, K as in Kira. Together, OK Baby. And at the center of it all were the two of them, documenting their lives with their kids for the world to watch. All the videos on the channel seemed to be deleted, but at the time of the channel's creation, the appeal was immediate. Many were drawn to the vulnerability of 2 teenagers trying to raise a child with limited money, limited support, and no real roadmap. Their videos leaned heavily on financial stress, emotional exhaustion, and the idea that they were just figuring things out as they went. That perceived authenticity is what fueled their rapid growth. Within a year, the channel was no longer a side project or a digital diary. It became their primary source of income. As more children entered the picture and views continued to climb, the line between documenting life and living for content began to blur.
Guys, Kira thinks she's pregnant, so we're about to take a little pregnancy test.
As the channel gained momentum, Kira and Oscar's personal lives accelerated alongside their online growth. Over the next several years, the couple welcomed 4 children, and each pregnancy, birth, and milestone was shared publicly. Viewers did not just hear about the family expanding, they watched it happen in real time. Hospital visits, newborn routines, sleep deprivation, financial stress, and relationship strain all became recurring elements of the channel's narrative. What began as a documentation of teen parenthood gradually transformed into a full-scale family chronicle, with the children at the center of nearly every upload. By this point, OK Baby was no longer a small YouTube diary. The channel ballooned to roughly 1.4 million subscribers, where it sits at now, each individual video pulling in millions of views. Their relationship, their home, and especially their children were now part of a monetized ecosystem that rewarded oversharing and punished silence. As the years went on, daily filming became normalized. Cameras were present during emotional moments, discipline, celebration, and breakdowns. The children were not occasional appearances, they were the core of the brand. Thumbnails, titles, and storylines increasingly revolved around them, turning childhood into content and family life into a product. The audience grew attached to the kids, watched them age, and felt invested in their development, while Kira and Oscar leaned further into the format that sustained their income and public relevance. As would become clear later, this was the moment when quiet changes behind the scenes started to take shape. Nothing looked dramatic on the surface, but control within the channel was beginning to shift. As the brand grew, Kira took on more influence over how stories were told. She guided the tone, set the direction of conversations, and increasingly determined how moments were framed, making her perspective the dominant one. Medical concerns added another layer of issues. After 4 pregnancies delivered via C-section, Kira publicly stated that doctors had warned her against carrying more children due to serious health risks.
Even if I wanted to have another one, it's not about me wanting to, it's about that I really just can't have another one. And I have accepted it because that it is what it is, and I don't want to put my life at risk because I do have 4 other children that I need to be here for.
The message was clear. Another pregnancy could be dangerous, potentially life-threatening. Kira reinforced clearly that her doctor had advised she should not have more children, and that she had come to terms with that reality. She emphasized the physical toll of repeated surgeries and the responsibility she had to remain healthy for the 4 children she already had.
Are you serious about considering adoption? I definitely think we are happy with our 4 children. I feel very lucky to have the 4 that I have. I am sad I cannot have any more babies, but I definitely don't plan on having more babies in any way.
In response to this, Oscar underwent a vasectomy at just 24 years old. At the time, these statements and decisions aligned with the narrative of mutual decision-making and long-term planning. In hindsight, they also marked a period where irreversible choices were made inside a relationship that was already under internal pressure. Not long after, Hannah Hawkard entered Kira's life. This was during a period when the OK Baby household was already stretched thin. Initially hired as a nanny, Hannah quickly became more than childcare support. She was in close age to Kira, so she blended easily into the household and soon transitioned into Kira's inner circle.
They came for game night. Who's excited? Me. Whoa. What was that? I need everybody to redo that. Game night. I'm excited.
What started as a professional arrangement evolved into a personal bond, with Hannah frequently present in daily life, vlogs, and off-camera routines. Over time, she was no longer framed as staff, but as Kira's closest friend. At the same time, Hannah was in a long-term relationship of her own.
Well, you guys haven't tried it yet, but they're waiting in line. They're being polite.
She was engaged to Preston Smith, her high school sweetheart, and according to records later discussed online, there were indications that they may have already been legally married, despite presenting publicly as only engaged. Through Hannah, Preston became a regular presence around Kira and Oscar, folding into their social world with ease. The 4 of them began spending a significant amount of time together. Game nights became routine, vacations were shared, and casual hangouts were filmed and uploaded as part of the channel's content. Viewers saw the couples interacting as a tight unit, joking, cooking, celebrating, and relaxing together.
Check out who's with us. What's up, dude? Give me some. Hannah, what's up? Oh, you got the boots too. Yo!
She has them, and so like when she dyed her hair red, I wanted to dye my hair red, and then...
At the time, there was nothing presented to suggest instability or inappropriate overlap between the friends. Everything appeared friendly, familiar, and normalized through repetition. That all continued to deepen in 2021 when Kira and Hannah launched a joint podcast titled Beneath the Sheets. The show was clearly framed as a space for open conversations about adult relationships, intimacy, and topics that went far beyond what was typically discussed on the family vlog. The branding leaned into oversharing, positioning discomfort as honesty. Behind the scenes, Preston took on a formal role in the project. He was hired as the podcast's audio engineer and technical support, which meant he was frequently present during recordings, planning sessions, and production work. His involvement was no longer social alone. The lines blurred further when Oscar and Preston were brought on as podcast guests. Episodes featuring all 4 normalized a level of intimacy that many viewers later revisited with unease.
Oscar okay, maybe on YouTube, Oscar Morales.
Yep.
This is Preston.
Just Preston.
Preston, Hannah, you're supposed to give his introduction. I'm waiting for you.
I'm waiting for yours.
He's the behind the
scenes
scenes
This is my not baby daddy because apparently we have some like
baby
issues
daddy
that he doesn't want to be a baby daddy. I don't know. We're figuring it out. We've been here. He's our audio tech.
He's the one
guy.
who makes it come to life because we can sit here and talk, but it doesn't become anything without this guy.
Without that guy.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I apologize for everything that fucking happened. That was show, and we were just getting off the ground, so I apologize. I really do.
Oh, wait, are you talking about season 1?
Yes, I'm talking about season 1.
yeah.
I said season 1.
I didn't.
Yeah.
Over the laughing over here.
Hey, did you put your hearing aids in before we started?
I forgot. Should we stop and go grab them? Maybe. Okay, anyways, you guys, this season is going to be fun because we have guests. And so we have juicier, we're bringing back topics from season 1 that were like kind of.
As the podcast progressed, discussions involved topics like non-traditional relationship structures and group intimacy, presented casually and without clear limits. At the time, these conversations were framed as purely conversational. In hindsight, they would be seen as early indicators of collapsing boundaries long before the fallout became public. While all of these were going on in their lives, they felt normal, wholesome even. As far as everyone was concerned, OK Baby had officially become a full-on family channel. Oscar and Kira, the kids, the house, the routines. It now felt locked in. But Kira didn't just want to play house anymore. Kira wanted more.
What I'm trying to say is, we already have our life together. We already own a house together. We have all this commitment together. We have kids together, you know what I mean? What is the point of having a piece of paper tell us that we're married?
We want to celebrate our love.
Getting financially stable is more important than a ceremony.
And I agree. However, I do not want to be engaged for 5-10 years. There's no way I will be.
I didn't want to move into this house.
It sucks for you because if I'm not married in 5 years, my booty is out of here.
Oh, don't threaten me with a good time, babe.
I will go find myself somebody who wants to marry me today.
You promise?
Baby, that was not nice. That was mean. I didn't like that. I would never leave, but I'm not going to be engaged for 5 to 10 years.
I know.
She framed it as a joke, but nobody really thought that sounded like a joke. She basically told him that if he wasn't going to propose, she was ready to walk away and be with someone else who would. And Oscar clearly took that seriously, because by late 2018, he popped the question.
Everything I put you through. But Kira, you are the love of my life. Oops. You are the love of my life. And I want you by my side forever.
And you would think after this, Oscar, Kira, and their little babies lived happily ever after, right? Yeah, not exactly. Because on January 7th, 2022, right at the start of the new year, OK Baby uploaded a video titled, "We Broke Up." And when you eventually watch the video, you'll see that this title wasn't just clickbait. What made it even more shocking was the timing. They'd been pretty quiet for a while, so people assumed that they were just spending time together as a family. Everything seemed calm, stable. And then, boom, this video drops, and when you actually watch it, something feels off almost immediately.
To get on camera and act like nothing is going on in the back. But at the same time, it's also hard to get on camera and say anything because what if we end up being fine and then like we just shared all that and then it just seems rocky and trashy. So it's just hard to know in that situation from a content point of view what to do, and so we made the decision just to kind of not do anything.
At first glance, this video is supposed to be them explaining their breakup together, but one thing you'll notice for the most part is that Kira is doing most of the talking. And it's not just that. There are moments where Oscar is clearly about to speak and she cuts in or talks over him like he's not even there. Now, it's true that everyone handles breakups differently. Some people joke, some people shut down, some people over-explain. But Kira doesn't just seem calm in this video, she seems almost excited. She's smiling. She even teases Oscar about the breakup. And the whole tone just feels off, especially considering what this conversation is supposed to be about.
Are you gonna cry?
No.
I might. I'm just kidding.
Oscar looked genuinely awkward during that whole announcement. It didn't feel like a mutual breakup at all. He came across reserved, almost sad, like he was still processing everything in real time. Kira, on the other hand, felt very different, almost too upbeat. So when one person looks like they're mourning the end of a family and the other seems oddly energized by it, it raises questions.
You guys did notice he was vlogging and I wasn't. At that time though, I was really sick. Yeah. And it wasn't really that bad between us at that point when you were just vlogging.
I was going through it at that point. Mm-hmm. Like I saw it coming early because I just saw the switch. So for me, I was going through it, but I was still in the denial phase. Like, no, this can't.
Watching that clip, it comes off as pretty disrespectful to Oscar. It doesn't feel like his emotions were really taken into account at all. Like he barely had time to process what was happening, yet just went along with the flow. and that's what makes it uncomfortable to watch. It feels less like a private emotional moment and more like content being made at his expense.
So
Does it
crazy.
make you feel better to say it like that? Do you feel better because it's not you?
Yeah, because I tried my ass off to make it work in the end, and
But that's the
Keep it all
thing,
in,
guys.
yeah.
If you're listening, in the end doesn't always work anymore.
Again, she cuts him off, and for some reason she always feels the need to do that. And it gets way worse when she begins talking about cheating.
Nothing happened that's like crazy and dramatic. Nobody like cheated. Nobody like.
feelings were hurt though. You did some things that hurt my feelings, but I found out later on, like a month later, that it's because you were holding these feelings inside and kind of resenting me.
But can you please clarify that I wasn't cheating? Because
Yeah, you weren't cheating.
Like,
You
people
weren't
will
cheating.
dig into
You
that.
did a lot of things that bothered me. I wouldn't consider them full-blown cheating, but it was definitely lines
Oscar,
that
I'm
we
not
shouldn't have
keeping
crossed.
that.
All right, fine.
Now here's what doesn't quite add up. Why did Kira need Oscar to publicly confirm that she didn't cheat? Why even bring cheating into the conversation at all? Because usually when something genuinely didn't happen, you don't feel the need to clarify it, let alone have your ex explicitly state it for you. The fact that it had to be said out loud just makes the whole situation feel a little suspect. And interestingly enough, this wasn't the only non-issue that raised some eyebrows. When Oscar directly asked Kira what bothered her about a specific situation, her response was, well, this.
That situation bothers you.
It's not that situation. I just feel like once we sit here and start naming like specific things, like do we want to talk about when I had mental health issues? You were not there for me. Like we don't need to like dig into all of that.
Yeah, you're right. And I do think something like this, it's sad that it took this, but I wish I was better for you back then. Just I didn't know better. I didn't understand these things. Like I feel like I'm understanding them now, going through my own.
And again, notice the pattern. She didn't want to go into the details, yet she brought it up. Which makes you wonder, if it wasn't an issue, why does it need so much explaining? She says she doesn't want to name any issues, even though she literally just did. She brought up mental health, frames it as a serious factor, and then immediately uses it as a reason not to explain anything further. And that's confusing, because if it was important to bring it up, then why shut down any real discussion about it? It ends up feeling like she's hinting at problems without actually taking responsibility for explaining them. It's almost like, there were issues, trust me, but without giving any clarity.
This is where, for me, I knew that it wasn't something I wanted to like hold on to anymore. I knew when I, in my head, was thinking of Oscar being happy with somebody else, and that made me happier, that's when I knew I didn't want to be with you anymore. When I think of you with somebody else, and that's what I want for you, I don't think you're in love with that person.
Really?
I can't meet your adrenaline standards. I don't like the things that you like. I don't want the same things that you want. I'm not interested in the same things that you are. And I want you to have that with somebody. So why am I like selfishly hanging?
She says she's been selfishly hanging on, but hanging on since when exactly? Since the channel started, since they had their first kid, or only after they had 4 kids and a full-blown family brand built together? Because those are very different timelines. She frames the breakup as an act of selflessness, like she's setting him free for his own good. She wants him to be happy. She wants him to be with someone who isn't her, because apparently keeping him all to herself would just be too selfish. Someone also said, wasn't there some issue a while ago that Oscar wouldn't marry her? Now she's engaged and is leaving. The whole situation is off. And truly it does, but then things get even more interesting. Oscar later reveals that in the month leading up to the breakup, she was actually mean to him, and he confronted her about it and straight up asked why she was treating him that way.
So what triggered you to be so mean though this last month?
Subconsciously, I really was like self-sabotaging almost, or like trying to get you to break up with me so it wasn't me. I don't even know. But like I was being mean because I was just angry. I also felt like I was lying to you, and that's not my personality. Like as soon as I decide something, you know that. Like I want to say it.
What this really shows is that she was already done with the relationship long before Oscar had even processed that something was wrong. Oscar seemed genuinely blindsided, thinking the only issue was that she had been mean or distant, which in hindsight must have been a sign that she was already emotionally checked out. She was impatient, tired of waiting for Oscar to be the one to pull the plug. So instead of breaking things off directly, she pushed the situation in a way that forced the outcome while still positioning herself so she wouldn't look like the villain. And that's the part that makes this whole situation feel so unsettling.
For me, it felt like forever because this has been happening since like late November. So for me, it's felt like forever, but in the grand scheme of things, this all happened fast. And it's kind of crazy, like...
I think a little bit this is where we differ. In my mind, things have been happening for like a year.
Really?
Oscar is clearly caught off guard by this. For almost an entire year, he'd been living with someone who felt like a stranger, and he didn't even realize she had fallen out of a love song before this video was recorded. She kept it to herself the whole time.
When I was like, oh, I hate this. Oh, I hate that you get so angry all the time. I hate that you throw things. I hate that this. I hate this. And like slowly over time, or like we just aren't having fun together anymore. We just like little things slowly.
Hey, but I hadn't gotten mad at all up until like late November when things were going downhill.
Oscar is clearly stunned by this whole situation. You can literally see him pausing, backtracking, and trying to make sense of everything as it unfolds, like his brain is playing catch-up with reality. Someone also said, without listening to it, I couldn't tell whether he was laughing or crying. They really need to take a break from posting. Many people agreed this is a conversation that never should have happened with a camera in the room. Because the moment you hit record, it stops being private and starts becoming content. And for someone who built an entire career turning vulnerability into views, it raises an uncomfortable question. Was this really about closure? Or was it another moment where pain became something to package, upload, and profit from? At no point did anyone stop and say, maybe we should cut this part, or let's reset the camera and rehash this, or even try to make the whole situation less awkward and more watchable. Instead, what we're left with is this incredibly uncomfortable, secondhand embarrassment kind of video. And trust me, you weren't the only one who felt it. Everyone did.
I gotta talk about this. The worst breakup of all time. Is that a term I would...
Why say that to his face on camera for your audience? Like, why do that? You have sat this man down and are breaking up with him again and rubbing his nose in it like a dog who took a shit on the carpet, and you're like, hey, don't do that again. You know, like making him smell it. What is the point? You could have just said it in like a 1 minute video, like, hey, look, we broke up, it was mutual, we're fucking done, alright? The channel will go on. But instead we have a 15-minute dissertation about why she was in the right to break up with Oscar.
Or she's like, I dumped you, I cheated on you, but also like a few years ago, I was having a rough time and you weren't perfect. It's like, dude, no. That's not why y'all broke up. You don't get to be the victim. Again, I'm making assumptions. I don't know what happened.
We could list more for you, but it would take all the time we have. And that's not all from the breakup video.
We're gonna be like vlogging and uploading on this channel together. We still are gonna live in the same house. We still are sharing finances.
Yeah.
Like
we're gonna do taxes together. We're gonna keep our money together until we taxes and figure out like, all right, what direction do we go from there?
We're just like not rushing anything.
Yeah.
It's really strange that right after telling their audience that their relationship had just ended, they immediately reassure everyone. Don't worry, you'll still be entertained. But later on, more interesting revelations are brought to light. Apparently, Oscar went to a strip bar and spent $200 without even getting the lap dance that he paid for.
Oscar went to the strip club, didn't get a lap dance, stupid. Didn't Venmo me just as much money as the stripper, stupid.
I barely threw anything, but sure.
Tell them you barely didn't and how much it was.
Okay.
Then you sound like an idiot. Tell them.
I was trying to underplay.
Yeah.
It was only $200.
Only? What kind of money are you making? Not any, because you're not up.
Well, you can argue that many people deal with grief differently. This story was probably brought up as a way to convince themselves and the viewers as to why they were breaking up. Apparently, she actually told him to go sleep with other people.
I was even trying to get any of it. She was telling me like, hey, I think you should sleep with someone. Like, what? First of all, I wouldn't even know how to go about that.
Like, I don't know, guys, I feel like they just like need that. Like, Oscar and I haven't slept together in some time.
It's been like a month, yeah. Like
2 months.
Yeah, that happened, and her reason, according to her, is that guys just need that. One Reddit user stated, I think she's at least entertaining the idea of someone new because of how she's pressuring Oscar to sleep with someone else and seems super happy to move on. Weird vibes. For a moment, they forget they're in front of a camera and start a small back and forth on the last time they slept together. It was so awkward, especially since Kira was ready to continue that conversation, until Oscar had to point out that some things were too much information for their audience. And while we're on the subject of sleeping together, Kira makes a hint that she might just want more kids.
That's your new person's problem, not mine, dude. For real. But yeah, that's where we're at. Vlogs are probably gonna be, like I said, like Probably the same for a little bit. We don't know. We don't know.
We don't know, guys. We're just like here.
One other issue that many people failed to see was pointed out by this comment. Kira thinks it's all cute and funny. I know their kids are young, but I feel for them knowing the intimate details of their parents' separation were uploaded before the wounds had a moment to heal. Not long after the release of the initial breakup video, they released yet another video that answered some of the audience's questions on some matters such as these.
And the first thing I want to say is that, you know, Oscar and I are in a very good place. And I don't want to speak for both of us. People get very mad that I speak for both of us. You need to speak for yourself. Okay. Oscar's just like that. Oscar, I'm not like trying to talk over him or say his feelings. Like Oscar and I just express ourselves differently, and he's much.
So right off the bat, she begins to address some of the audience's concerns from the last breakup video they uploaded, clarifying that she does not talk over Oscar, even if we could see that she did. But the great takeaway from that is they're just being their authentic selves. They're not pretending. She just talks over him because she talks more than he does. He thinks while she talks. And just as expected, there were so many reactions to this video as well, but one particularly coming from Dr. Kirkhonda, who's an experienced psychotherapist. He had this to say.
She really is trying to make the point that they're happy and that they're in a good place. And she keeps trying to say, hey, say, because people aren't going to believe it if I say it and you don't. But I don't know if Oscar is 100%. Now, maybe part of what he's doing is presenting to her when they're not on camera that, you know, he's not in a bad place, but, you know, he's probably in a bad place at times. I wouldn't be surprised if he wasn't in a pretty bad. I should say that he reached out to me actually after the last video and said that we just had a short text exchange, and it wasn't long.
Earlier, we touched on the subject of Oscar's vasectomy, and it was yet again addressed in this video.
This one actually infuriates me. I never asked Oscar to get a vasectomy. I did not want him to get a vasectomy. I wanted more kids, and I highly encouraged he didn't get the vasectomy.
Thinking we were gonna be together forever. Not that I want any more kids or that I want other kids with other people right now. I think I made the right choice as of right now. And I think forever. I don't know.
The idea that's being painted here is that Oscar willingly got the vasectomy, but also that it's reversible. Dr. Honda's had this to say.
I think what he's saying is, well, even though when I got the vasectomy, I thought I was going to be with Kira for the rest of my life, and now that we're not going to be together, I'm not quite sure if getting the vasectomy is the best thing. But actually, I still think it is best that I got a vasectomy because I already have 4 kids, and probably wouldn't want. But I think if he was a little bit more disclosing right now, he would say, if I could take it back, I might actually. I still might get it in the future at some point, but I don't know what the future holds. I might meet someone, and that person might really want to have a kid with me and might convince me to have more kids.
The general feel of this video is way less cringe and awkward than the first one, and a bit more mature too. It seems like they took these concerns from the previous video to heart and made some improvements. This is more philosophical and delved deep into the mindset of adults, how they're finding themselves and navigating their own experiences since their breakup. It's in this vein that Oscar asks why the breakup was necessary, what led her to decide that ending things with him was the best option in that scenario, and she had this to say.
One of my biggest things is like being alone, and I think that's truly when you do find yourself is when you're put in these like critical life situations. And I feel like you said, I've been so comfortable with you that I'm not, like, I don't know anything outside of that, and I don't feel like
In the immediate aftermath of the January 2022 breakup announcement, the separation did not function the way most viewers expected. Rather than creating distance due to the breakup, Kira and Oscar continued filming together as if the relationship had simply shifted form rather than ended. They appeared in content side by side, still sharing space and responsibilities on camera, which blurred the reality of the breakup and gave the impression that nothing fundamental had changed. Kira did move out of the shared home, but the social structure around her remained largely intact. She stayed close to Hannah, maintaining their friendship and professional overlap through the podcast. From the outside, it appeared that Kira had exited the romantic relationship while keeping nearly every other element of her life unchanged. Oscar, meanwhile, was left adjusting to the emotional reality of the split, while still participating in shared content and public appearances, and they're wearing the same outfit as their breakup video because this was filmed the same day as their breakup video. Plus, Kira still has the same perky attitude as her breakup video. In this episode of their podcast, she introduces Oscar as the ex with the biggest smile on her face.
We're not feeling lonely. We have guests. Who do we have? Who are they? Who's they?
Who are we?
Who's they? We have the ex. We have the ex.
Oh, that's gonna need an explanation.
No, it doesn't. That's the ex.
You can only imagine how awkward that episode will be, given how awkward the actual breakup video was. No family's perfect, but at least not all families come to air their dirty laundry online like Oscar and Kira did. As time goes on, we can see the former couple begin to grow apart more and more. Kira and Oscar begin to upload their own different videos. Kira finds a new apartment and moves there. Oscar's with the kids and navigating being a dad without a constant mother in their lives. Many people have their own theories as to what's going on. Some believe Kira has someone else. Others just think making any assumptions can be dangerous. Someone else writes, "There's something about this that makes me uncomfortable." From the breakup video to her documenting her family falling apart for views, to her getting a new apartment within the space of weeks, she's irresponsible and setting a bad example for her children. I don't doubt that Oscar may be partly to blame as much as her, but something about her doesn't add up. If she suddenly regretted the past 7 years and wants to be single again, that perception intensified dramatically in spring 2022 when a whistleblower contacted the Dad Challenge podcast with allegations that reframed the entire timeline. The individual claimed to have encountered Kira and Preston together in Las Vegas and alleged that the two propositioned her for a group encounter.
I mean, I'm not going to be telling you what her name is. She doesn't want to be on camera. She doesn't want her name out there. But she said, look, how to say this? I need to tell you something. I had a threesome with Preston and Kira. And I said, Preston and Kira, like from OK Baby? She's like, yes. And then started talking a little bit. And I'm not going to share our conversations, but she basically said, yeah, I was in Vegas. I was approached on Bumble by Preston, and Preston said, hey, are you interested in read my profile. I'm only interested in, and doing threesomes with my partner. Right. And so I asked this person, are you sure it's not Hannah, this girl, Hannah, that Preston was dating? And she's like, no, it absolutely wasn't Hannah.
Hold up, Preston? This guy? Preston is Hannah's husband. Hannah is Kira's best friend. So this suggests that Kira had a threesome with her best friend's husband. Now, what's most striking is that no one could see any form of chemistry between Kira and Preston, and it seemed they merely acknowledged each other's presence as the husband of my best friend or the best friend of my wife. But besides that, there was no on-screen romance or even a hint of anything more than a cordial relationship. The whistleblower provided what was described as corroborating material, including Bumble messages, hotel-related photos, and phone number verification meant to establish authenticity.
Preston on Bumble sent this to my source. Says, hi, did you read profile? Yes. You interested? We are. Are you? Paradise, where are you? Yes, I am. So he's asking where she's from, blah, blah, blah. Don't forget, they're in Vegas at this point. This is April 21st, 2022. If you wanted proof that Kira's in Vegas, here it is. I did find it. So Kira's here in Vegas at the Wynn Hotel, which is a very, very posh, fancy hotel. Very expensive, like crazy expensive. These people just spend money like water. And this is the photo that Preston sent my source. Yes, that's Preston, Hannah's ex-fiance. Hi, baby girl. Just getting time to respond myself. Let's grab drinks and show you what rough really feels like. Kira. So this is Kira texting from Preston's account. Could be, could not be. Asked her to share Preston's phone number. And she shared Preston's phone number. And then I corroborated that with someone who knew what Preston's phone number was. And they were the exact same number.
According to the whistleblower, during conversation that night, Kira stated that she and Preston had been together for 8 months. That single claim detonated the existing narrative. Counting backward from April 2022 placed the start of the breakup around September 2021, months before Kira and Oscar's private breakup, and during the period Kira later described as emotional disconnection. If true, it meant the relationship with Preston overlapped directly with her relationship with Oscar. The timeline grew more complicated when it was reported that Preston allegedly filed for divorce in April 2022. This placed his separation from Hannah squarely within the same window as the Vegas incident, and shortly after the public breakup announcement. If this is true, this just really questions the premise for why Kira broke up with Oscar in the first place. Remember, one of Kira's reasons for breaking up was the fact that she said she wanted to go see the world and experience what it means to be single again. It would imply that Kira has been cheating on Oscar and Preston has been cheating on Hannah all this while.
Said, like, she asked, do you get jealous of him and all that kind of stuff? And Kira said this, according to my source. Well, not really, because I was the other third person before this. She said those words. I was the third person. And so now I'm together with him and I'm not the third person anymore. And so I don't really get jealous. But we did this and it ruined my friendship with his, for all intents and purposes, his fiance.
I think this now brings a particular clip to mind.
Oh, I just got it.
Say it.
You can't. If it started, okay, let's say that Oscar cheated on me and got with this woman and then they got together. She would know in the back of her mind that he cheated on me. I hope she realizes she's not about that.
Yeah,
like he could
you're-
possibly cheat on her too.
Yeah, like you're cheating with somebody in a relationship,
Yeah.
and they're willing to cheat on that person. So
Why wouldn't they cheat on you?
Why wouldn't? Yeah,
and
they
you
do
can think
that
you're
too.
a diamond in the rough, but go to therapy, get out of your mindset, because that's not true. None of us.
Sometimes there's diamonds, but not that often.
Well, we're all diamonds, but like, you know what I mean? Like, you
Yes.
can't, if somebody's willing to cheat on somebody else, I have a hard time believing they wouldn't do it again.
Yeah.
Like really cheating. I'm talking about like you actually went and slept with somebody else while you were like married to another person.
Yeah, that's hard.
Yeah. So anyways, luckily that's never happened to me, but it does make me angry to think
God,
about
I
because
can't
I've
even think
seen
about
the
it.
effect that it takes on people, and it's
Anyway, according to the third-party source, Kira admits to being the third wheel at some point, but she developed feelings for Preston, but those feelings graduated and they became a full-blown couple. What we don't know for sure is whether the other person in the threesome was Hannah, her best friend, but that's what's being implied.
Was likely having a relationship with Hannah and Preston in September, and could have been before that, which means that they were cheating. All of them were sitting there behind Oscar's back having threesomes behind his back.
Well, this pretty much looks like there's some sort of connection, especially since Kira says her kink is watching her partner be with another person.
Have we ever been interested in swinging? No. I'm not interested in another guy at all. In fact, my kink, and the reason why threesomes happen for us is because I like watching him with her.
By mid-2022, it became clear that Hannah Hawker had not been operating within the same information as the public. According to accounts discussed after the release of the Dad Challenge podcast video, Hannah reportedly did not know that Kira and Preston were involved until the allegations and evidence were made public. The revelation did not come through a private conversation or a direct admission, but through that external expose that laid out timelines, screenshots, and claims she never had been given a chance to process privately. For many observers, this detail shifted Hannah's role from passive bystander to someone actively kept in the dark. Once the information surfaced, the friendship between Hannah and Kira collapsed completely. Any remaining public interaction stopped, and Kira later confirmed that they were no longer friends. As speculation intensified, Kira broke her silence in December 2022 with a public Instagram statement aimed at reclaiming control of the narrative. In the same statement, Kira attempted to contextualize her behavior in the January breakup video. She explained that her smiling, laughing, and detached demeanor were the result of emotional suppression rather than indifference. According to her, she coped by shutting down emotionally and using humor as a defense mechanism, which she said caused her to come across as heartless and unrecognizable even to herself. In the post, she denied cheating on Oscar outright, insisting that while their relationship had serious problems behind the scenes, infidelity was not the cause of the breakup. She acknowledged that there had been multiple near breakups in the past, and framed the end of their relationship as the combination of long-standing issues rather than a sudden decision driven by someone else. Kira also directly addressed the accusations surrounding Preston. She claimed that Preston did not leave Hannah for her, distancing herself from the collapse of their engagement. According to Kira, the end of Preston and Hannah's relationship was separate and unrelated to her own involvement with him. She stated that she and Preston had been dating since March 2022, a timeline that directly contradicted the claims made by the Vegas whistleblower and is one of the most contested points in the entire saga. While the statement was intended to clarify and calm the situation, it had the opposite effect for many viewers. The explanations did little to resolve the timeline discrepancies, and instead highlighted how much information had been withheld or reframed only after exposure. By the end of 2022, the narrative had fully fractured. Hannah was gone from Kira's life, and every denial was now measured against evidence that Kira no longer controlled. In all of this, the only person who seemed to care for the kids was Oscar, who abruptly took on a single dad role while she discovered herself. And after 8 months after the breakup video, on July 31st, they released what was their last video on OK Baby. The title was OK Baby is Coming to an End.
I think it's time we make it official. Yeah, we've got a couple things coming up. We're getting ready to go our separate ways as much as we can. Pretty much the only thing holding us together is the kids. OK Baby is coming to an end. I think we got the plan is to make 2 more videos. This is gonna be our final season. I mean, it's been kind of our final season.
3 episodes.
Yeah, it's been our final season. We're just trying to make it official now.
Well, the first thing you might notice in this video is that, unlike the past videos where Kira was doing all the talking and even talking over Oscar, this time Oscar was talking more and setting some things straight. Did the recent allegations and drama contribute to them ending the channel? We may never know, but this brings tears to Kira's eyes as they talk about the end of OK Baby.
No, it's what's best. And that's why we're doing it ultimately, but I think that it's been dragged on, if you will. When we both have known it's probably going to come to an end for a while.
Yeah.
But because it's definitely not easy. I mean, this has been, besides each other and our kids, this has been the biggest part of our life.
However, the close of OK Baby doesn't mean that both of them were done with YouTube. Not at all. They both already had their own channel with hundreds of thousands of subscribers. That video really showed where Asuka and Kira were mentally at the time. Oscar looked done. Not in a dramatic way, but in that quiet, exhausted way where someone just wants to move on with their life. He was clearly ready to focus on more important things like building himself back up, figuring out his future away from OK Baby, and raising the kids. After the split, Kira continued posting family-style content on her own channel, while Oscar took a different route. His content became less about family and more about him, his growth, his mindset, how he was navigating his life after everything that happened. At this point, you'd think the controversy surrounding OK Baby and Kira in particular would finally die down. The following year, however, Oscar brings Kira onto his own channel, where the two of them sit down and answer questions directly from their audience, again.
Number 1.
How do you feel about Kira's new boyfriend?
Ooh, that's a good one. I was definitely shocked at first. It was definitely an adjustment. A little, I wouldn't say it caught me off guard.
But kinda.
Yeah, but definitely. It's just weird because of who it was. Truthfully, if she dated anybody else, I wouldn't care.
Oscar surely handled this with grace and some level of maturity, but the next question makes it seem like Kira was still doing some damage control to her image.
Number 2?
Any regrets on how you handled the split?
I think every breakup is gonna come with regrets, and especially in the sense of how things are handled. There's really no perfect way. I do kind of regret how I handled things online, actually not kind of, a lot. I do feel like that I was trying to pretend I was okay when truly I wasn't, and I should have accepted and not embraced, but just been okay with having emotions at the time. And then also, I think I should have given you more space and not tried to be friends right away.
Yeah, I could see that. I regret the way I acted out of emotion towards the end of our relationship because I saw it coming. Lashed out a few times. I hate that I did that. Wish we went to therapy. The minute you started having those feelings, I wish you would have told me. We could have tried to go into therapy. I would say, for those of you who are feeling any sort of way towards your significant other, let them know immediately. Seek therapy. Try to fix it as soon as possible and nip it in the butt before it becomes an overwhelming feeling that you can't escape anymore, you know?
While she may be making an effort to fix things, for many longtime OK Baby viewers, it might already be too late. From the time of the breakup to this moment in their story, most of the attention and backlash have been centered around Kira. But you might be wondering, what about Oscar? What has he been up to through all this? Well, on August 1st, 2023, Oscar uploaded a video to his own channel titled The Story of the Broken Me, and that video gave viewers a very different perspective on how deeply all of this really affected him.
Alright. Dumb time apart. This is a hard video for me to make, and it was truthfully uncomfortable. I like making happy videos, and obviously this one wasn't, but I felt the need to make it so that I didn't feel like those emotions had power over me anymore. I wanted to get them out there, just let them be, and that way I could start being myself again. Like, carrying all that weight all alone for so long, it was just heavy, and I was pretending to be somebody I wasn't, and it was tough. I'm hoping that now I can just go back to being 100% authentic. I felt like I was holding things back, and I hate it. I just love being an open book, and I love just being me, and I couldn't be me with all these feelings. Glad I waited to tell everyone until I at least had most of it figured out. But now it's just back to getting to work on them, and like I said, I'm doing better, but still got a long ways to go.
In it, he spoke candidly about the emotional toll the separation had taken on him. He described a prolonged period of grief marked by confusion, self-doubt, and a sense of disorientation after losing not just his partner, but the life structure he had known since adolescence. Oscar said he felt empty and lost, trying to make sense of how the relationship he thought he had could end the way it did. He talked about slowly working through that pain without the constant pressure of performing for an audience. The video came across as honest and unpolished, and many people felt it showed how deeply the breakup had affected him, rather than how protected or detached he might have seemed online. As time passed, Oscar began to rebuild his personal life more quietly. He entered a new relationship with a woman named Addie, and when the relationship became public, the response was overwhelmingly positive.
Guys, that thing is a raging bull out here in the lake. It's literally like the rodeo version of surfing.
Addie was well received by the audience, and Oscar was widely viewed as having found peace after a prolonged period of emotional turmoil. The narrative surrounding him shifted from loss to recovery, with public sentiment largely framing him as someone who had endured betrayal and come out the other side with dignity. While Oscar's recovery unfolded gradually, Kira's personal life moved at a much faster pace. In July 2023, Kira announced her engagement to Preston. The engagement drew immediate hate due to the timeline and the history connecting all four individuals. The relationship's progression appeared rapid to the public, especially in light of how recently multiple long-term relationships had collapsed. Later on, Kira would reveal that the wedding date had been moved up, and by January 2024, Kira and Preston were married. By this point, the contrast between Oscar's slow inward recovery and Kira's fast-moving new chapter had become a defining feature of how audiences interpreted the fallout of the OK Baby collapse. In May 2024, Kira announced that she was pregnant with her fifth child. The announcement immediately reignited controversy, not because of the pregnancy itself, but because of her own documented history discussing why another pregnancy should never happen. Besides that, Oscar's vasectomy became a focal point again. What had once been presented as a mutual health-driven choice was now reframed by critics as a sacrifice that ultimately benefited Kira alone. Many pointed out that Oscar underwent the procedure at a young age, under the understanding that Kira could not safely carry more children, only for her to later conceive with someone else. As criticism mounted around the pregnancy, another long silent figure finally spoke. Hannah Hawker re-entered the public narrative in 2024, not through interviews or direct accusations, but through symbolic and carefully curated actions. She launched a GoFundMe campaign asking for help covering matching tattoos she shared with Kira. The campaign framed the tattoos as painful reminders of betrayal and heartache, describing the cover-up not as cosmetic, but as an act of reclaiming her identity and closing a chapter that no longer served her. The response was immediate. The goal was met quickly as supporters rallied around her. Alongside the GoFundMe, Hannah released a diss-style poem inspired by Kendrick Lamar's Euphoria. In it, she accused Kira of betrayal, manipulation, and false narratives. She referenced loyalty, broken trust, and the collapse of girl code, framing Kira not as a misunderstood friend, but as someone who knowingly crossed lines. One of the most striking claims in the poem was a reference to a $20,000 loss, which many interpreted as financial damage tied to the relationship's fallout. Whether from shared projects, wedding expenses, or emotional destabilization that carried material consequences, the poem resonated widely, especially because it contrasted sharply with Hannah's previous silence. Rather than vague statements, it presented direct language and unmistakable intent. After the poem gained traction and the GoFundMe surpassed its goal, Hannah closed the campaign and removed the poem from public platforms. She announced that she was ending the chapter and intended to move forward. The timing made it clear that she had said what she needed to say, not for prolonged attention, but for closure. By mid-2024, the narrative surrounding Kira had shifted again. After years of placing their children at the center of their online identity, Kira and Oscar quietly changed course and stopped showing their children's faces on social media. For the first time since the channel's creation, the kids who had once driven thumbnails, storylines, and engagement were partially removed from public view. But not long after she said that she would stop posting about her children, she uploaded an entire vlog centered about one of her kids, even putting the child's name and age in the title. Even though she clearly put in the description that she'll still be keeping her children private and stated that this particular video is only a one-time thing and she would continue to keep her children's lives private. That one-time thing happened again and again. This just goes to show that she really wanted to show her kids and maintain OK Baby. But there's only the K for Kira without the O for Oscar. The collapse of OK Baby exposed how easily children become collateral in influencer economies built on intimacy and access. By the end of the saga, the most lasting consequence was the realization that the real cost of family vlogging is paid by the people with the least agency, the children. When the adults finally stepped back, the damage was already done, leaving behind an example of how easily childhood can be traded for clicks.
It became stupid, and regardless of how long it's been, it just came like so clear and so stupid of me not to do it. I felt like I'm stupid if I don't do this.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing this girl. Yeah. Basically anything I want, you have.
The Doherty doesn't give me really sus vibes.
Those kids are constantly being exploited, constantly being on camera without their permission. Little moments that mom films and puts on YouTube or on TikTok get broadcasted to the public, including to students in their school, because they are all in public school, and then they all get bullied. Like Alex Doherty is getting bullied right now. Like people following him, swarming him, attacking him. That's that mom's fault.
If you've ever scrolled through family TikTok, YouTube, or other socials, chances are you've come across the Doherty Dozen. It's a family channel led by mother Alicia Lee Doherty, who is mostly shooting content, Joshua Bright Doherty, who's mostly just behind the scenes, and their 11 children. Now, at first glance, their channel looks like any typical family vlogs, consisting of grocery shopping videos, meal preps, and a household that always looks like it's running at full speed. But take a closer look and you'll see something unsettling. Their followers have called the family out for overfeeding the kids, overspending on unnecessary items,
12 iPhone 14s,
and constantly oversharing kids' personal information that should remain private.
6 of our kids are adopted from foster care and unfortunately endured early childhood neglect and trauma. Because of this, several of them do have lingering food. Several of our children will and have binged to the point of throwing up food, if allowed to eat however much they want to eat.
But what makes it even more bizarre is the fact that despite being called out for multiple reasons, multiple times, the family continues sharing almost everything going on in their children's lives, including their medical history.
My 4-year-old with autism went about 3 years of his life not eating solids due to several factors: gastroparesis, oral dysphagia, autism, food pickiness, and now... Bodhi, that is a lot of ketchup.
So if you've been living under a rock all this time, grab some popcorn or fasten your seatbelt, because today I'll take you on a long ride as we explore this rather unusual family.
Let's go.
So who are the Doherty Dozen?
How we became a family of 13. We are Josh and Alicia Doherty. After 9 years of infertility, we decided to adopt from foster care. We adopted Alex when he was 5 years old, and 6 days later, we found out we were pregnant with Zoe. The next year, we were asked to adopt James from foster care, and 2 weeks later, we found out we were pregnant with Dash. Then we took foster care placement of Jordan and Jason, and we eventually adopted the twins. During that time, we also gave birth to Bodhi and Harley. Soon after, we adopted a sibling group from residential, Bree and Patrick. And in 2022, Deshawn moved in through kinship care, and we now have permanent custody. And that's how we became the Doherty Dozen.
And after amassing over 7.5 million TikTok followers and over 1.5 million subscribers on YouTube by posting daily videos about their lives, people started noticing some weird patterns. For starters, this family's faced heavy criticism over the way food is shown on their channel, and a lot of that criticism centers on carbs, sugars, and processed meals rather than home-cooked food. Now, I know she has so many kids with different wants and needs. I honestly couldn't do what she does, but I see how she feeds the kids and all. I mean, all of it's processed. Just look at the lunches. They're so packed full of food and everything in it is unhealthy junk. Not to mention the portions between the 18-year-old and 4-year-old are the same. I saw their snack pantry and oh my gosh, there's nothing healthy there either. If you see what I feed my kids today, there's like 3 snacks a day. I try not to be judgy because, again, I know she has so many mouths to feed and probably not a lot of time. But her 2 oldest boys are overweight, which isn't their fault with how much she feeds them. The way these kids are eating can't be good long term. I don't consider myself a complete health food nut obsessive over every bite my kid takes, but her meal offerings are downright horrific. Badly planned, cold waffles, mountains of muffins, and over junk food lunches and trays of oily dinner slop, and the absurd amount of snacks. Yikes. I mean, we see it in our shopping runs. A singular bag of oranges, a little box of strawberries, and some bananas for fruit, but 6 boxes of chips and more muffin bites and bags upon bags of candy for every special day, which is every day. It still just horrifies me how much sugar or soda and how much bottled water they go through, even though by now each kid has at least 10 water bottles with their name on it, and the amount of paper plates and plastic cutlery. I'm not sure if we have 11 kids and we're gonna completely fill a landfill with recyclables and food waste. Watch! But yeah, their diet is a damn train wreck in slow-mo. Specifically speaking, one of the most talked about moments was the 24-hour McDonald's challenge, where the entire family ate only McDonald's for a full day, including McGriddles, apple slices and cookies, and large drinks. And while some of the audience wondered why they needed to spend over $700 instead of cooking home-cooked meals for a quarter of the price, one commented on the effect of all that unhealthy combination of foods, suggesting that bathroom bout to be reeking. And considering that several of the children are known to have health sensitivities to food, Alicia leaving that part out made people wonder whether everyone ate the food ordered, making the challenge format look like entertainment was prioritized over nutrition. Yet the criticism did not stop there, because there were other moments that raised eyebrows involving Alicia purchasing around 20 McFlurries and 20 apple pies in one haul. Now, even for a large family, that amount struck viewers as excessive, especially considering that much dessert at once made it look like sugar-heavy foods were normalized in the household, raising concerns about issues like obesity. Or as one Reddit user put it, honestly, if I were to eat what she makes every day, I would be severely obese. I gain weight so quickly, so I watch what I eat, sadly. But the criticism didn't stop there, because Alicia has time and again served Lunchables for school lunch. Now, Lunchables are widely criticized for being processed and high in sodium, and although there were some fruits and tomatoes for vitamins, when viewers see the junk taking most of the space in the lunchbox, it strengthens concerns about long-term nutrition. And yes, what she packed looked good for the camera, but it was all cold food, leaving some fans wondering, but where's like hot food? Although some fans supported Alicia, claiming that the kids can just microwave the food at home, the lunch itself had been assembled from so much processed food, and microwaving it in plastic lunchboxes would only add microplastics in the already not-so-healthy food. And then there were times when Alicia served white bread and jelly sandwiches packed without protein or balanced sides for lunch.
Here's what my 11 kids got in their lunch today. Their entree today is a sandwich. Alex gets tortillas with Nutella. James and Patrick wanted tuna. Deshaun got turkey and cheese. Bree likes strawberry jelly. Zoe got chicken. Dash got PBJ. Jason and Harley got jelly. Fluff for Jordan and ketchup for Bodie.
Although some called her a supermom for recalling what each of the kids loved, it's what she added after that only made the nutrition factor more concerning.
Their drink today is Capri Sun. Their fruit is applesauce. Their veggie is carrots. With ranch. Their dairy is a Bluey Go-Gurt. And Paw Patrol cheese stick. Their treat is M&M's.
While the carrots were whole foods, most of the other foods were processed, meaning they contained high amounts of sodium and sugars. This brought a lot of criticism, because many people believe growing kids need more complete meals, or it'll eventually start to show in some of the kids if it hasn't already, either physically or health-wise. And knowing Alicia, she will no doubt share that information with the entire world. On top of that, chips appear frequently in daily meals and snack boards. but vegetables are rarely visible in the same clips, and unfortunately that imbalance has led viewers to question whether balanced meals are being prioritized. And because all the kids, from the youngest to the oldest, got almost the same ration of food, people began questioning her food portioning skills, despite Alicia considering herself pretty good at it.
The other day, who made 6 loaves of pumpkin bread? That got, like not even one was gone. Are you really talking about portion control when your entire garage is full of shit? There's no portion control with you at all. Zero.
Even Reddit users began questioning if the kids actually eat the food she prepares. Or as one put it, I don't think they eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner that she prepares. I think it all goes in the garbage. It's all for show with the exception of the pizza that they all make. I have seen them eat it. They eat the frozen stuff and the packaged stuff when the cameras are off. And another one agreed by saying, yes, I think it's for show too. They're adventurous, according to her, but also really picky. I don't believe kids with aversions are eating walking tacos, squid, breakfast burritos, etc. The daily ketchup, fluff, and tuna sandwiches make it clear those kids don't like to go out of their comfort zone. As a result, others began speculating that all these early morning breakfasts are just for clout, or as one put it, most of her food looks nasty. I think she posts those 5 a.m. videos for mom points. It's also really unnecessary. She could just give those kids a bowl of cereal, some fruit, and a breakfast muffin and call it a morning. We never see them eating breakfast, which is suspicious. Regardless, all this speculation brought even more engagement with her content, growing her online presence even more. But what shocked people even more was the fact that despite the already large quantities of food the kids were already served, each child had a mini fridge stocked with candy and sugary drinks.
Mini fridge restock for my 11 kids. This week, Harley asked for
M&M's and 1 donut.
Bodie wanted
M and 2 donuts.
But giving children 24/7 access to sweets shocked many, as they saw it as excessive. Unfortunately for Alice, that detail reinforced claims about overindulgence, because the kids had too much sugary foods which they didn't need, but would be tempted to consume. Yet it gets even worse because Pop-Tarts and white bread have been shown as a regular breakfast option, sometimes brand sponsored. However, Pop-Tarts are known for high sugar content. Nevertheless, frequent appearances made viewers question nutritional balance. But the sugar consumption only got worse on birthdays.
Alex's birthday. For breakfast, he requested Dunkin' Donuts. For lunch, he wanted Chick-fil-A. I set out a variety of Oreos for their after-school snack.
Because the diet of the day would include high carbs food, cake, candy from piñatas, and stacking sugar on sugar. But celebrations ended with sweet dessert portions and a birthday cake that contributed to the overall pattern of too much sugar that critics highlight. Specifically speaking, some Reddit users analyzed pantry tours and claimed the shelves appear mostly stocked with packaged snacks and sweets, with little visible produce. And although pantry organization can vary, the visual ratio shaped how people saw everything the kids ate. For this reason, harsh critics have described Alicia's food choices for the kids as very unhealthy and actually bad for them.
Same shit every day for these kids, and it's bad for you.
For this reason, some Reddit users argued that Alicia was setting these kids up for health issues in the future. One commented, "The amount of fast food and processed sugar she feeds these kids is abhorrent. My parents raised me on a healthy diet, yet I still ended up with fatty liver disease at 24 just from eating like crap throughout college. I can't even imagine the kind of health problems await her kids in the future. It's actually really sad." Or as another one put it, Alicia is setting the kids up for diabetes, heart disease, and fatty liver disease, among other things. She's also shortening their lifespan. It's just disgusting. Alicia has some sort of mental illness. I'm all for doing this. All in all, I think if she'd replace most junk food with fresh veggies, fruit, and homemade bread, cake, cookies, the kids would be fed better. I saw her feeding the kids too fatty, salty, and sugary stuff. Chips for lunch are also something German school kids would never have. Some of the kids are already overweighted. The others will get there. Now, the unhealthy eating was one thing the family got criticized for. They were eating too much and had too much already stored.
And snacks, baking supplies, and look at this adorable pancake mold. Pickles for National Pickle Day.
veggies.
Figure does not include other major expenses like Amazon purchases, clothing, school supplies, therapy, or medical costs. While groceries are a significant budget category, online shopping, particularly Amazon, is a separate and substantial expense, with Alicia reportedly spending over $1,000 in a single month on Amazon alone at times. Nevertheless, this was phrased as a weekly restock. But in another video, she documented buying so much products that she needed a flatbed to carry it around the store.
Weekly grocery haul for my family of 13. On flatbed 1, I got toilet paper, paper towels, laundry supplies, dish soap, allergy meds, paper, forks, spoons, plates, bowls, garbage bags, can't forget the coffee, baking supplies, and a Bauduco Pantone, and left that flatbed up front. Flatbed 2, 224 bottled waters plus...
She went to get another flatbed? How much of it does she really need? But it gets even more insane.
Bed 2, 224 bottled waters plus Waterloo sparkling water, 6 cases of mini Gatorade, Capri Sun, pizza crust, bagels, buns, and bread for the week, and left that up.
And because they were about to have some birthday parties coming soon,
Flatbed 3, I got candy for our 2 birthday parties we're having this week. Some snacky snacks, Nutella and Go, beef jerky, crackers, pita chips, Little Debbie Hostess, 358 bags of lunch chips. I stocked up on pastas and sauce.
by the end of that shopping spree, Alicia had spent over $2,000. At this rate, viewers had so many questions. Or as one commenter put it, $2,280? How do you do it? That is so much food and things. It looks like your pantry's always super full. Where does everything go? You can argue that it's a birthday week, and given the many kids involved, the total including gifts, decorations, and food is perhaps not that much. But sometimes even the normal weekly grocery hauls often land around $2,500 because multiple cart hauls are common.
Walmart haul for my family of 13. In cart 1, I started with some toiletries. We needed a birthday present for a party this weekend. We needed a new smoothie maker. I got some egg dye kits to dye Easter eggs on Good Friday. We needed a new vacuum after the puppy ate the cord off the old vacuum. Windshield wiper fluid for the van, and Harley and...
This was the first cart, and by now, as you know, there will be multiple carts.
Part 2, I got the boxed and canned items, pastas and tomato sauce, beans, veggies, broths, muffin mixes and waffle mix, cereal, fruit snacks, applesauce, snack packs, muffin bites, and...
Some grocery trips totaled around $4,500, including non-food items like wrapping paper and gifts. And despite critics arguing that including those items inflates totals for shock value, some hauls have shown totals of over $5,000.
We are loaded in, let's go home.
But when they got home, they still did some more online shopping.
For other shopping, we had the sushi platter from Wegmans, the wraps from Pita Pit, the New Year's donuts from Donuts Delight, that I ordered Dash and Josh's birthday cake, plus balsam bagels because Dash loves those, and then all of my random Amazon.
Nevertheless, these are presented as restocks for a large household and some random stuff she bought because she could. Yet it gets even much more because some hauls reach up to $8,000. And while some saw this as essential for a large family, some speculated that these massive hauls are only meant to drive engagement, as people will continue talking about it, whether criticizing it, admiring it, or wondering how they even afford all this. But while most of these super expensive hauls happen on special occasions like birthdays and cultural ceremonies, her reported monthly food spending has been stated at $4,000 a month, more than double the average family. Now, Amazon spending escalated in one instance to $11,000+ in a single order, including linens, probiotics, and themed supplies. But that wasn't the highest number shown online. Specifically speaking, Christmas spending has been a major focus, with one of the videos documenting over $16,000 spent for the holiday alone.
How much did we spend on Christmas for our 10 kids? Well, we got each of them a brand new bike, and they all needed new bike helmets. Add that into everything else we bought on Amazon, which was their Nintendo Switches, Wii U, laptop.
The oldest boys got new iPhone 13s with all the accessories, wrapping paper for each kid, $2,000 for each of the kids' biological siblings to have presents, and above all,
a plane ticket for Alex's biological mom to visit, teacher gifts, and shoes, outfits, pictures, and matching family jammies.
Not forgetting teachers' presents, food, and stocking stuffers. Over $16,500. And as if they couldn't get even more indulging, on another Christmas Black Friday haul, it included 12 iPhone 14s and the usual massive holiday haul costing the family over $18,900 in the end.
We had to get this 12-foot Christmas tree for them. Then we impulse bought this arcade game, a new mattress for James, and some bath bombs for Zoe. Next we went to AT&T, where we got 12 iPhone 14s, new phone cases, and charger blocks. I also did some online shopping for Deshaun's F7 helmet he wanted, plus Ghost pre-workout for Alex, Pokemon cards for Zoe, Rainbow Friends stuff for Bodhi, and figurines for Jason. Happy Black Friday!
Nevertheless, viewers were stunned by that figure alone, as some admitted that, "I just got called broke in 10 different ways." This left people wondering what Alicia and Joshua did for a living to afford all that. Or as one commenter put it, "I don't mean to be nosy, but how do you guys have money for everything? I only have one kid and I'm struggling. $1 million.
$211,079. Those are her yearly bills. Plus $612,537.93. Plus $100,000. Grand total $923,616.93. So,
while most viewers think this is insane, some viewers believe shock totals drive views, especially when grocery hauls include non-food items. To them, she has to be making more from the engagement this brings. That's why she doesn't mind making those crazy purchases, because otherwise she'd be making losses. True, there were a lot of products bought, but perhaps the most controversial expense involved flying in a child's biological mother as a birthday gift. Pretty emotionally complex. Fortunately, some viewers saw it as generous. Now, regardless of this perspective, the pattern of large receipts, multiple carts, luxury tech gifts, and high monthly disclosures has shaped the overspending narrative around the dozen. Now, this is where many critics say the family, particularly Alicia, crosses the most serious line. Because while junk food and big spending can be debated, a child's private medical and trauma history follows them forever once it's online. Alicia has openly shared her deeply personal information about her children on multiple platforms, and much of it involves diagnosis, foster care trauma, and medical struggles that most families would keep private.
So for a lot of the kids that we've cared for in foster care, they have the combination of bipolar genetics, trauma and neglect, alcohol and drug use in utero, which has caused brain damage, low IQ, executive functioning issues, cognitive issues, developmental delays. And then you add in multiple removals from home.
For sharing a bit too much, some criticized her for it. One commented, "She gives out too much information about these kids, trying to make herself a hero of some kind, because they all have issues and she took them in." And another one went as far as to speculate, "I believe she also added on some more issues for sympathy. She is a fraud, and had I worked with the system, I wasn't giving her these kids. Money or a house don't make a family. They live badly." Nevertheless, Alicia has framed this transparency as raising awareness, despite critics arguing that children cannot fully consent to having their histories broadcast to millions. Since something that is sensitive, especially tied to a specific diagnosis, could humiliate a child later in life, which often leads to them getting bullied. Now she's also disclosed an adopted son's full medical history and video content, including trauma background, behavioral diagnosis, and abuse experienced in foster homes.
The most tragic thing that happened to one of our children that we adopted from foster care is that they were taken from their home as a toddler for suspected physical abuse. He then spent 4 years in an abusive and neglectful foster home.
Nevertheless, critics argue that once you connect a face, a name, and a diagnosis, that child loses long-term privacy. Specifically speaking, she has publicly named a child's school in videos, something quite dangerous, because revealing a school name online creates obvious safety concerns, especially for a family with a large social media following. Now, in other videos, she's discussed a child's PTSD diagnosis, and even referenced that the child's score was double the qualifying threshold. However, sharing a measurable trauma score makes the disclosure feel clinical and permanent. Nevertheless, it becomes searchable content tied to that child's identity, Perhaps it's all for clout. Now she's also publicly blamed a biological mother's smoking during pregnancy for a child's asthma. However, that shifts responsibility into public view and exposes details about a birth parent's struggles. Nevertheless, viewers questioned whether that kind of blame needed to be shared at all because, well, her kids will definitely be bullied now. Mom of the damn year. Wow, just wow. Specifically speaking, she's referred to some of her kids collectively as trauma kids, unfortunately labeling children by their trauma rather than simply as individuals can shape how the audience views them. But she's also made dupe comparisons between her children and fictional characters. Specifically speaking, she called one son a sideshow Bob dupe, which critics felt carried racial undertones. Nevertheless, she later referenced to another child as Rue Bennett dupe, referencing a character from an adult TV series. Unfortunately, some viewers felt that it was inappropriate for a minor. On top of that, one of the more troubling disclosures involved mentioning that a child arrived with a sexual history, which she connected to installing cameras inside the home. However, discussing that level of detail publicly raised serious concerns about dignity and privacy. But it gets even worse, because Alicia has openly discussed food hoarding and stealing behaviors tied to past neglect and personal insecurities.
Lying, stealing, food hoarding, food binging.
However, while trauma-informed parenting can explain those behaviors, critics argue that publicizing them invites ridicule. Yet she's also talked about poor hygiene struggles and low self-esteem in certain children. Specifically speaking, she explained these as trauma side effects. While she thinks she's creating awareness for kids with such conditions and helping their parents live with it, unfortunately, those admissions are searchable and permanent on the internet. Now, in multiple videos, she's detailed explosive rage episodes lasting hours, including property damage and screaming, as again a way to create awareness, but many believe that kind of content exposes a child's most vulnerable moments. Specifically speaking, she's explained attachment issues, saying some children try to bond with teachers as backup parents.
Attempting to attach to people in the community, such as teachers, so that they have a backup parent because they think that we'll get rid of them.
Nevertheless, that kind of emotional detail is rarely shared publicly by other families. Despite knowing this and getting criticism for too much information, she has shared allergy testing results, inhaler use, and multiple medications by name. However, that reveals ongoing medical treatment information. But as if it couldn't get any worse, she's also discussed cognitive struggles, including low IQ and brain damage due to prenatal alcohol exposure, including the neurological impact in detail. Unfortunately, once stated publicly, those comments can follow a child academically and socially forever, as long as it's on the internet. For this reason, some have speculated that Alicia did not get these adopted kids out of the goodness of her heart, but rather for the attention it brought. One commenter said, "So they have issues with hoarding food and binging, and yet she buys massive amounts of junk food. Makes sense. I don't think Alicia fostered adopted out of the goodness of her heart. I think it was all for attention for herself, which she sure got." Despite this backlash, she frequently introduces her children by name along with their diagnosis in videos, connecting identity directly with medical conditions. This is where critics argue that children deserve the chance to decide later what parts of their story they want public. But now they cannot, especially for the minors, because she has some kind of parental control over them. But while Alicia frames her content as educational and awareness-driven, the backlash centers on consent and permanence, with others suggesting, save the children, stop the exploitation of children for personal gain. However, once private trauma, medical records, hospital visits, and diagnoses are tied to faces and names online, there is no undo button. Unfortunately, for many critics, the oversharing section is where the debate shifts from lifestyle choices to long-term psychological consequences for the children involved. Yet despite the backlash, some still believe she has the right to share any information about her kids as she sees fit. One commenter said, "Shame on you for doing this to her. She took 8 children out of foster care and fed them and spoiled them and loved them. And not only that doesn't keep them from their biological family, are any of you getting kids out of foster care? If she wants to share her story of taking these kids, she can." Or as another one simply put it, "They could not have better parents than you both. Perhaps the family should have used all those expenses to secure investments that'll pay off in the future of these kids, rather than spending it on junk, hoping that it'll bring more engagement. Or maybe they know exactly what they're doing, and are relying on people getting enraged and engaging with their content more and more, Whether with negative or positive comments, Ballerina Farm has recently been under intense public scrutiny, not for entirely positive reasons. At first glance, the account appears to be a typical family-centered page, filled with wholesome cooking videos, homesteading routines, and everyday activities that highlight a picturesque rural lifestyle. Behind the account is Hannah Nealman, a mother, wife, and former Miss America contestant, whose online presence blends domestic life with performance and storytelling. For many, the account feels genuinely wholesome and comforting. It offers a glimpse into a slower, simpler rural lifestyle, enhanced by nostalgic tones and a rustic, cozy aesthetic. The scenes evoke an idealized way of living, the one that seems far removed from the pressures of modern, demanding capitalism, where days are spent tending animals, cooking from scratch, and moving at nature's pace. It reflects a quiet fantasy of freedom and simplicity, perhaps made even more perfect when shared with a loving partner. Then, one day, more information surfaced, reshaping how viewers saw the woman behind the videos. Hannah Nealman was not simply a rural homemaker. She had once been a Juilliard-trained ballerina, a woman with ambition, talent, and a promising future on stage. This revelation sparked widespread discussion. To many, it felt astonishing that someone who once pursued such a demanding artistic dream would step away from it. Mary Mann said to have pursued her persistently and go on to raise 8 children. In the public imagination, she quickly became framed as the modern embodiment of the trad wife ideal. It quickly became a major online discussion, with viewers scrutinizing her videos and questioning whether her marriage appeared emotionally distant. Many netizens saw a woman sacrificing her personal ambitions while portraying her husband as contributing only the bare minimum. Well then, what's going on with Ballerina Farm now? Is this just another netizens getting heated? Or is it serious? First, let's dive into who Hannah and her husband is outside the account. Long before the spotlight, when life felt simpler, Hannah was born into a Mormon family as the 8th of 9 children. Though homeschooled, she quickly showed a natural talent and deep passion for dance. It became more than a hobby. It was a calling she nurtured carefully and carried close to her heart throughout her youth. It was part of her. It was something meant for her. At just 14 years old, Hannah attended a summer program at Juilliard, a prestigious performing arts institution known for accepting only exceptional talent. That alone should be an early sign of her remarkable ability as a dancer. Her connection with the school continued when she later enrolled there for her undergraduate studies. Determined and resourceful, she funded her education through scholarships earned from competing in beauty pageants. Well, she is talented and beautiful after all. But there's more. Hannah met her future husband, Daniel Nealman, during her first year at Juilliard. Like her, he came from a Mormon background, but his upbringing was shaped by significant wealth and influence as the son of a billionaire entrepreneur, David Nealman, founder of several commercial airlines, including JetBlue. Captivated by Hannah from early on, Daniel pursued her with clear determination. This narrative becomes more complicated when considering that Hannah reportedly declined Daniel's invitations for 6 months, suggesting that their interest in each other was not initially equal. Yes, it was only Daniel's own feelings at this point. Despite her refusals, Daniel refused to give up the prospect of marrying her. He continued pursuing her. At one point, Hannah casually mentioned that she would be flying from Salt Lake City back to New York for school, unaware that Daniel's father owned the airline she was taking. Soon after, Daniel allegedly made several calls. This resulted in him securing a seat on the same flight, ending up beside her during the journey. To some, the story might sound like an elaborate romantic gesture framed as persistence driven by affection. However, when viewed through a more critical lens, it raises discomfort for many viewers. What may have once been portrayed as devotion can instead be interpreted as an unsettling display of privilege and obsession. This is where wealth and influence blurred boundaries and shifted the balance of choice. Perhaps over time, Hannah eventually allowed Daniel into her life, though it did not necessarily mean she shared the same level of enthusiasm for the relationship. Still committed to her ambition of pursuing a career on stage, she made it clear that marriage should wait until she had followed her dreams. Daniel disagreed. He wanted to marry her as soon as possible. Only a month into their relationship, Daniel proposed, and the couple married just 3 months later. The pace of events was rapid, and soon after, Hannah became pregnant, expecting her first child only 3 months into the marriage. As a Juilliard undergraduate, she made history as the first student in the school's modern era to continue her studies while pregnant. she was still dancing, still holding on to her dreams. The couple would later welcome 7 more children, with Hannah becoming pregnant again in rapid succession every 9 months. With each passing year, her life shifted further away from the path she once envisioned. Whether consciously or not, she appeared to be trading the future she once pursued for a life she believed she wanted. The closet she used for her dance attires and stuffs were placed with kids' items and clothing. It was sad enough when the article came out, people feeling quite bad about her. Now there was one thing that really irked the netizens. It was Hannah's birthday. Like many creators who share birthday moments online, whether heartfelt or humorous, the Ballerina Farm account followed the trend by posting a celebration for Hannah's birthday. In the video, she appeared cheerful and animated, dressed in a yellow and white floral dress, smiling brightly at the camera and embracing the festive atmosphere.
Okay, that's my birthday present from Daniel. Hoping their tickets to Greece.
Where's it from?
I don't know, the boys took it off.
I took it off.
It's from Ukraine.
So, plane tickets? Ooh, a hat I can wear in Greece.
What's that a hat?
It's not.
Oh, my egg apron!
Eggs in it.
Great, I can gather eggs.
So cute. It's really cute. It's a cute one.
Yeah, that's the best. You're welcome.
Thanks, honey.
Not for a long time.
She was opening her birthday gift from Daniel. I hope it's my ticket to Greece. Hannah had long dreamed of visiting Greece, a destination she hoped to see someday. Considering Daniel's wealth and resources, many assumed that arranging a trip to her dream destination would have been simple, making it seem like an easily achievable gift for such a special occasion. Instead, when Hannah opened the unwrapped cardboard box, she found what appeared to be a handmade garment, an egg apron. Rather than a gift that fulfilled her long-held dream or offered rest from the exhaustion of her daily responsibilities, Daniel presented something that seemed to tie her even more closely to her farm work, a gesture many viewers interpreted as disappointing. The interview with the Times article revealed something far darker. For women who have experienced childbirth, the intensity of labor is widely understood. The pain can be overwhelming, often leading many to choose epidurals as a way to manage the physical strain and endure the long, demanding process more comfortably. Hannah's childbirth experiences were notably different from what many might expect. In an interview, she shared that nearly all of her children were born in the upstairs bedroom of their home without any form of pain relief. She endured labor naturally for 7 births, relying solely on her own endurance throughout the process. Only with her youngest child did things change. While her husband was away, she chose to receive an epidural and later described the experience as surprisingly calm and pleasant compared to her previous deliveries. These revelations sparked another wave of intense discussion online. Many viewers began questioning whether Hannah's marriage was as fulfilling as it appeared, openly debating the dynamics they believed were at play. Some argued that it reflected how women's ambitions could gradually be set aside in favor of motherhood and domestic expectations. Others criticized Daniel's actions, asking how someone could watch a partner step away from her dreams while seemingly failing to offer meaningful gestures of appreciation, such as granting her long-desired birthday wishes. How hard is it to at least let her go to Greece? Does he not know her dream? Why the egg apron? She was also given a painting portraying a ballerina standing on a farm. To some viewers, the gift appeared thoughtful and symbolic, blending her past with her present life. However, others interpreted it more critically, seeing it as a reminder of a dream left behind. For them, the image felt less like celebration and more like a quiet statement that her identity as a ballerina now existed only as a memory within her domestic reality. She's consistently maintained that this is the life she chose, and that her happiness is something only she can truly. Often clashed. Some portrayed Hannah as a victim of patriarchal expectations, arguing that her identity had been reduced to motherhood and domestic life, rather than personal ambition. Others pushed back, emphasizing that fulfillment can genuinely be found in marriage and raising children if that's what a woman truly desires. Both perspectives hold weight, as the core issue centers on the freedom to choose one's own path. Yet after reading the interview more closely, a lingering question remains. Did Hannah choose this life? Or did she get reeled into it? Even as public criticism grew louder, Hannah remained steadfast, insisting that her marriage was deeply personal and that she felt content with her life. Ultimately, relationships are complex and layered, and it's difficult to fully understand their reality through brief online clips or moments condensed into less than a minute on screen.
Hi, Liam.
Yay!
Happy birthday, Mom.
To casual viewers, it might seem harmless or simply part of farm life, but those familiar with online discussions around food safety often reacted with skepticism. After all, the milk shown was raw and unpasteurized, a product widely debated due to potential health risks. Despite these concerns, Hannah appeared comfortable consuming it regularly and frequently shared moments of her family, including her husband and children, drinking the freshly collected milk alongside her.
Drink Mom milking a cow. What hill? Mama,
Juice. Good?
yeah, it is. I'm funny.
According to Hannah, her habit of drinking raw milk came from her mother, who believed it offered numerous health benefits, including improving skin quality. Hannah herself described it enthusiastically as liquid gold, encouraging others to try it as well. Presenting the drink as both nourishing and essential to her lifestyle, it was perhaps unsurprising that in April 2025, Ballerina Farm began promoting bottled raw milk for sale under her brand. The packaging carried a charming cottage-style design, I've got to say. It's simple, rustic, and visually appealing in an understated way. Marketed with a back-to-basics vibe, the product leaned heavily into pastoral imagery and homesteading ideals, reinforcing the brand's carefully cultivated image of traditional, self-sufficient rural living. Well, if you know one or two things about TikTok influencers selling products, it's often not really handled carefully. See the Pickles Lady and also Pink Sauce for popular examples, where the netizens started to lose trust in the product. The public reaction to Hannah's raw milk sales closely reflected earlier concerns viewers had expressed. Many began questioning whether the milk was truly safe for consumption, asking if it had undergone proper testing and whether the product complied with health regulations. Is it safe? Does the government know? Well, as you know, folks, you don't really consume raw milk as you like. Raw milk is basically unpasteurized milk, meaning it's not been heated to kill harmful pathogens. Consuming it can lead to severe foodborne illnesses if you're not careful. It can carry various bacteria, most notably E. coli and Salmonella. An article from Harvard stated that all these claims about raw milk being naturally more healthy than pasteurized milk aren't correct, and in fact, there's not much of a difference, aside from the living bacteria, of course.
So Ballerina Farm has recalled all of their raw milk because, surprise, surprise, it failed 2 food safety counts for being high in coliforms. Yes, the poopy particles. Now, coliforms don't necessarily mean that there's poop, but it's a 100% sign that contamination is occurring at Ballerina Farm. Today in the news, the same day that this Ballerina Farm news broke out, an infant in New Mexico died because a mother drank raw milk during pregnancy. Raw milk is extremely high in probability for listeria, and listeria can pass through the blood-brain barrier, which can cause listeriosis, miscarriage, and infant fatalities. Which, the sad part of all of this is that so much of what Ballerina Farm does and a lot of raw milk sellers is that they sell this item to moms, moms-to-be, and children, the exact people who should not be taking in this product.
Let's talk a little about raw milk now, just a little side quest. A while ago in 2023, there was an epidemic caused by raw milk consumption. Utah health officials identified a cluster of Campylobacter infections linked to a single dairy, Utah Natural Meat and Milk in West Jordan. Utah, the same place Ballerina Farmers resided. There were 2 hospitalizations and around 14 people aged 2 to 70 getting sick. Even that dairy, which got a license to sell raw milk, can slip and infect people. Consequently, their license was suspended. Ballerina Farm does not have that credential, yet they're confident. Over 20 years, data showed 202 outbreaks and over 2,600 illnesses linked to raw milk. From 1998 to 2018, the CDC reported over 200 outbreaks and thousands of illnesses, with studies indicating that unpasteurized dairy products cause 840 times more illnesses than pasteurized ones. There are also deaths, at least 3 deaths from data starting in 1987 to 2010 in the US. Not so many, but with 2,659 cases of illnesses, 269 hospitalizations, 6 stillbirths, and 2 miscarriages, I'm sure it's not something to be overlooked. Though there are many people who believe that raw milk is much better than the pasteurized one. I'll cite a website called Raw Milk Institute about why people still drink raw milk. First, they say that because humans have been drinking milk since 10,000 years ago, it allowed humans to thrive in conditions where survival would have been difficult. They also say it's good for women, especially during pregnancy, because it strengthens your reproductive capability. Perhaps the claim that stood out to me was about how raw milk can cure lactose intolerance. They say, and I quote, "Lactose intolerance is primarily pasteurization intolerance. Since raw milk facilitates the production of lactase, it is not likely that there were widespread issues with lactose intolerance." They continued saying that pasteurization is just a man-made solution for a man-made issue. They're blaming the situation of the land today, which is filled with too much sugar, dirt, and other things that can make the milk produced by a cow as not safe as it was 1,000 years ago. Sure, the land today is more polluted than it was years ago. That's why we as humans continue to develop safety measures in order to fix things that are harmful. We should acknowledge the situation today instead of comparing it to how it was a millennia ago and push the narrative that we should think it's safer. With hundreds of research debunking the claimed superior properties of raw milk, you may think people would get deterred, yet you still have people believing that the substance is beneficial to some extent and consume it either way. Now then, how is Ballerina Farm handling this? In response to growing concerns about safety and perhaps to reassure customers, Ballerina Farm reportedly sent samples of their raw milk for official testing. The process was carried out in accordance with regulations overseen by the Utah Department of Agriculture and Food. Then it should be safe, right? Since they continue to sell it, however, only a few months after the product's launch, Ballerina Farm was reportedly forced to stop selling its raw milk. According to local Utah news outlets citing the records from the Utah Department of Agriculture and Food, UDAF, safety screenings revealed concerning results. The tests allegedly detected elevated levels of coliform bacteria in the raw milk samples. That includes E. coli. These findings raised significant health concerns and ultimately led to the suspension of sales, reinforcing earlier public worries about food safety and proper regulation. What many found especially surprising was the revelation that Ballerina Farm reportedly lacked the proper equipment and processing systems needed to ensure milk safety. Daniel later admitted that he had been unaware of this requirement, claiming he only realized the issue after the controversy had already unfolded. It's quite odd because I think everyone is aware that in order to produce something that people consume, you need to make sure you have the equipment, the paper, and the safety measures. The TikTok sellers seem to be ignoring that altogether. Cooking for your family is different compared to selling, folks. Though Daniel also stated that the whole time they were selling it before getting shut down, they were safe. Cited from the official Ballerina Farm statement, they said, and I quote, "Ballerina Farm never recalled any product, including its raw milk. Raw milk that did not meet regulatory or industry standards was not sold and responsibly disposed of." They're saying that the milk bought from their farm had been safe, but it's just this time that they're forced to shut down. Yeah, curious. Not long after their statement was released, the New Mexico Department of Health issued a public warning advising against the consumption of raw milk products following the death of a newborn. Hannah later addressed the controversy on TikTok, stating that Ballerina Farm had never been officially shut down, and that the decision to stop selling raw milk was a voluntary business choice rather than a regulatory action. She also supported statements published on the brand's website, maintaining that all milk sold previously had been 100% safe for consumers.
We were never shut down, or there was never any products recalled. All the milk that was on the shelf and sold in our little farm stand was 100% safe, absolutely delicious. No one was ever sick from any of our milk that we sold. And we realized that economically, it just wasn't making sense for us to put so much time and effort into this raw milk operation, because the majority of our products were going to pasteurization, and so we decided, okay, you know what, let's focus this dairy, the setup that we have, the team that we have, to use this milk for our pasteurized products, which we are super passionate about. We 100% stand behind our dairy and our milk, and we would never put anything on the shelf that did not meet standards for
raw milk consumption or dairy consumption or anything in that matter.
In her response, Hannah emphasized the farm's commitment to quality and transparency, adding that Ballerina Farm had received recognition as one of the top dairies in the western United States for cleanliness and product standards. According to her, the company would never knowingly release a product that failed to meet their internal expectations or compromise customer safety. Scrolling just a little bit down the comments, you'll actually find people supporting Hannah. Well, I think there are also people who adore all-natural and whimsical living. You guys are doing great. I'm sorry you're going through with these rumors. People are tearing down your business. Those are some of the few supportive comments I could find. Honestly, though, did they read the claims made by official food safety departments? People are not starting rumors because they don't like Hannah. They're talking about selling raw milk without proper regulated equipment that'll cause sickness to buyers, even death. Aside from that, Hannah kept mentioning that they're absolutely clean and safe. Though if we're going that way, then I think some people might disagree on their farm's cleanliness state.
In 2024, Hannah was asked by the Daily Mail how safe it is to sell raw milk, to which she replied, as long as the cows are clean and the environment is clean, it is relatively safe to do so. Well, the thing is, as much as Ballerina Farm is a brand, they are also a social media powerhouse that posts photos and videos of their barn publicly. I'm gonna post some screenshots of their barn here, and I highly recommend you pause the video to take a closer look. Now, I'm no health inspector, but I did speak with some people who've worked with cows, and they told me this barn is one of the dirtiest they have ever seen, far from the circumstances that Hannah outlined that are conducive to producing raw milk. And lo and behold, Ballerina Farm failed a milk safety test which found excessive levels of E. coli causing bacteria in their bottled raw milk. Now, Hannah's husband Daniel issued a statement that I think perfectly encapsulates everything that is wrong with influencer brands. He said, producing raw milk takes careful planning from a facility and infrastructure standpoint, something we learned after the fact. Now, not only does this directly contradict what Hannah acknowledged in her 2024 interview, but one would think if you are going to go against CDC guidelines and advertise this product to tens of millions of people, you would, I don't know, maybe do a baseline level of research? But hey, Daniel's family is worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and they have already discussed building a raw dairy farm after temporarily halting sales of the product.
Oh, right. Did I mention Ballerina Farm also sells protein powder? Yep. So they do have that product on the shelves. For quite some time, people thought it's their product, like they made it locally. Then in the same TikTok I mentioned earlier, Hannah said this.
So products like our protein powder, that milk does not come from our cows. It comes from grass-fed whey, mostly in Ireland actually, because cows are able to be on grass almost all year long there, and they produce a beautiful grass-fed whey that is in our protein powder. So I wanted to address that.
Yeah, so the milk doesn't come from their farm. They claimed it's all the way over in Ireland because the cows are being fed whey or something. Honestly, they have a wide range of flavor, which probably enticed the viewers. We all want to buy local, right? Well, yeah. Then you look at the price and pause. That thing is $67 outside of tax and shipping for around 1.5 pounds of product. In comparison, other protein powder you can find in the market costs around $60 for a much bigger size. To be fair, Hannah did claim that their protein powder is high quality and clean. Here we're entering just another marketing pitch, which everyone does, which is claiming that their product is so much different and so much healthier than everything else in the market. But then there's an issue that stated the protein powder packaging has been slapped with P65 sticker, which indicates that it may contain lead and harmful things.
I stopped drinking the Ballerina Farms protein powder because I noticed this tiny little sticker that was on the packaging. It was the P65 warning that only is a warning they have in California. P65 stands for Prop 65, and on the label it says warning, cancer risk or reproductive harm. So I looked it up, and I'm in my healthy girl era. And because I am an IVF girly, so being super healthy and clean is so important to me, I immediately removed Ballerina Farms protein powder from my pantry because I panicked, okay? But I looked it up, and it said that there's trace amounts of lead in Ballerina Farms protein powder, and a lot of other states don't have this P65 warning labels. What's funny is it's not like the P65 P65 is printed onto the actual label. It's a sticker that goes on to any of the products that are shipping to California. I wanted to make sure that everyone knows, no matter what state you're in, that there is trace amounts of lead in the Ballerina Farms protein powder. If you don't believe me, look it up. That kind of also made me spiral. I can be a little bit OCD sometimes, and I decided to download the app called Yucca, and it's essentially an app where you can scan barcodes on food, beauty products, literally anything, and it tells you if it's toxic.
However, people stated that products entering California do tend to have this label, and it's not an issue. The reviews, though, are mixed. Some are complaining about the pricing. Some are saying it doesn't really taste good. Then some are saying it's good and worth it. Perhaps this is a matter of taste, and everyone's different, to each their own.
Here's my brutally honest Ballerina Farm protein powder review. I could care less about the controversy around Ballerina Farm. I actually do like a lot of their products, but I'm also not gonna hype them just because it's Ballerina Farm. Now, this powder has a combination of whey, collagen, hemp protein, and colostrum, so there is a lot of good stuff going on. And I know there are mixed feelings about colostrum, however, they do claim that the calves are given enough and that it's taken in an ethical manner, so hopefully that is the case. It's sweetened with stevia and monk fruit, which automatically turned me off because I despise stevia. So many people were claiming they could not taste the stevia at all, so I'm here to give you my honest opinion. To my absolute shock, the stevia did not bother me at all. That isn't to say that I couldn't tell that it was there, but it was probably the best stevia sweetened product I've ever tried. I got the vanilla flavoring and it is so good. Someone else described it as like vanilla ice cream, and I actually agree with that. I do think it's something like a smoothie. It tastes best to add a little bit of maple syrup or honey, but I honestly don't even mind this on its own.
Then again, Ballerina Farm isn't really new to the title of selling things and pricing them up like it's worth gold. Look at this bowl right here. Just a normal bowl that costs you $50 for no apparent reason, when you can get way cheaper bowls that do the same thing, made from the same material from your local pottery or Walmart. Anyways, I digress. So far, Ballerina Farm has been defending themselves like crazy ever since the raw milk shenanigans. Every statement they're saying is basically made to glaze themselves to be the perfect best dairy farm to ever exist. There's nothing wrong with their product, and they've never done anything to endanger the public's health. It's amazing really to see a small business challenging statements made by the governing body overseeing health and food safety. Ballerina Farm is interesting because they got layers of things that can be talked about, starting from the whole relationship thing, which, I don't know, seems a bit off. I was reading some articles and I realized that many actually overlooked that part and jumped right into Hannah's image as the perfect dreamy trad wife. Like I mentioned earlier in the beginning, hey, if you want to be a trad wife, by all means go for it. There's nothing wrong with it at all. Still, you don't really have to act like trad wives are an endangered species or something. There are billions of people on this planet who still want to get married, have a family, take care of their kids and spouse. It's really intriguing that some articles are writing Hannah as if she's giving hope to the women out there who want to be wives, that trad wives image is returning to the media, that the perfect wives material still exists. They still exist. They're still here, always. And nobody is erasing that at all. Trust me. Though I think trad wives' husbands should be able to at least reward and pamper their wives. Instead of giving her items to help her work, maybe give her something to relax and be happy with. On the other hand, Ballerina Farm's family are not helpless. Hannah and Daniel are two adults who should know what they're doing if they want to do something. Anyone can start a business, but to start a business takes time and careful planning. When your business involves selling your product to people, you have to be sure that you have all the qualifications and methods approved to cater to the public. Throwing out statements that say, "we just found out after," doesn't sound good. It does take time to do your research and all in order to sell products that people consume. However, it's a must, and it's a shame that Hannah and Daniel didn't. People tend to ignore science, calling it bogus or fake news. I wonder if the people defending Ballerina Farm actually read into the issue about raw milk a few years ago, or the researches, or even simple news article about the risks. This is not a rumor. This is a public health risk. I sincerely hope that if Ballerina Farm plans to make a product again, they'll do their preparation better and also take accountability if it goes wrong. For now, they're just trying their best to evade all criticism. Let me quote their last wording from their website. "We take great care in creating thoughtful products made with carefully sourced quality ingredients. Transparency and responsibility remain central to our approach." Well then, Ballerina Farm, I do hope transparency and responsibility will emerge soon in the future.